Day 4, session 4, and you're back for more. Don't forget trading is risky and all that business. We got a lot to cover. Let's go. Alrighty then, let's get down in here into our training windows. Welcome back to the Algobox Academy. This is part 4, day 4, lesson 4. The Algobox Academy. Don't forget, at the end of these sessions, you've got 40 questions that you need to be able to answer at the end of this. If you're going through your 2-week free trial, there is a section inside of the documentation area. Just look for the Algobox Academy and go to the questions section over here on the left to go through that quiz. Test yourself. There are questions all the way down here. If you want to peek ahead, or sometimes I actually like to have the questions that I need to answer before I go into something. So if you want to go and print these out for yourself or have them on the side to know what questions you need to be able to answer and kind of develop your questions along the way, that might be helpful to you. So I wanted to give that quick reminder as we go. We are going to finish up the fundamentals tonight. We've got a lot of pieces to cover on the left hand side in our notes that we've been going through in documentation. We're going to finish out the entire fundamentals section, and then tomorrow, day 5, we will be into the strategy deep dives. Some of the strategies we will talk about here tonight. I want to come back up before, remember last night we finished up with the position manager buttons that we went over in detail, and we're going to go right into position details once I come double back, because I did check. I did want to make sure I covered everything, and I realized I don't know if we spent enough time in the order of operations. Write this one down in your notes. OOP. OOP. If you hear us talking about the oops, the OOP, it's not because we made a mistake and said oop. This is the order of operations. I know we talked about this briefly on the tide, the wave, the MACV filter, and then hitting on the ripple. We talked about it briefly in the Alexander Elder series, talking about the only book that I ever recommend. If you're going to waste your time in a book, then go check out Alexander Elder. He's going to talk a lot of things, talk about a lot of things that I are going to show you in the charts, but in a fundamental way, and kind of hear it from somebody else who's older than me, been around the blocks longer than me. If you want it from a book, Alexander Elder, Trade for a Living. So our trades, everything I'm going to show you here tonight through the fundamentals on any execution, is going to start with this order of operations first. Ideally, my best trades. Now remember, I'm saying best. Now, here's a question. Do I always have to take the absolute best trade? You might think to yourself, well, yes, I must absolutely take the best of trades always, and I'm going to go with not really. If you ask a poker player, do they always have to wait until they're playing the best hand in order to win? No. Now, the same thing with trading. We do need to know what cards we have in our hand, and then we are going to play them, and we need to know our bet size based on where we currently are. And there's a lot of that adjustment, and I'm going to walk you through how I approach it. If you want to approach it that way as well, good for you. But the order of operations is where it begins. Why I wanted to start this lesson in lesson 4, because when we hit lesson 5, we're moving forward, baby. Lesson 5 is strategies, entries. Look to the left. What's our bias currently? And then I'm looking for a big or a small. If I've got the order of operations with me, if I got the high time frames coming with me, then I'm holding on for runners and I might get bigger. If I am not, maybe smaller, or if I'm going to get sized, I'm going to go quicker in and out looking for a shorter target based on those order of operations. It is as simple as starting with the left-hand side on the what's labeled up here. I'm going to wait till it comes back around to number 1. So starting with the tide, this is the biggest picture direction. I want to go, if the tide is rising, then it's going to raise all ships. I don't care if you're trading the NASDAQ, ES, RTY, or the Dow in the N.E.R.D. If the tide of those is moving up, then in general, we're going to have this swelling. So even on a wave coming down, I've got this general swell upwards that can help me on my longer targets. Okay, the wave. Again, during the wave scenario, I can have an upward swell on a tide, talking about water here, but the wave may be crashing down at the time. Can I still take a play on that? Yes. Final filter right here. I kind of talked about this as the sponge that you're kind of soaking through the last second before I'm going to enter in on one of these. Again, this is the last day we're hitting on fundamentals, and I just want you to remember that this is the primary means for mentally thinking about big or small, because actually size adjustment and positioning is actually the biggest thing that you have to function on after you have Algobox, because Algobox is going to do all the technical analysis and RTOFA order flow for you. You're going to focus on sizing, and it is key beginning with the OOP, the order of operations. Okay, with that being said, there were a couple of other items as I scrolled through this area to make sure that we covered everything. We did cover the optimizations at the beginning of the week and how to get those. Chart properties, we did not hit much on the chart trader on the right. I just want to touch on that briefly before we move forward, because I do want to make sure we are covering everything in order. I'm finishing out all fundamentals today before we hit major strategies tomorrow. We are going to hit some of those tonight, because we'll be hitting into the components of Flowmaster, the order flow system internals to Algobox. Chart panel, not necessarily concerned with that one. The overlay chart trader, here we go. The chart trader, that is this little section over here on the right. This is your controller. Okay, these are color coded for you for the out of the box from us. We've colored these. You can change these to whatever you want. That's what's kind of being shown here. If you do want to make any of those adjustments to anything, it's in this section. You simply right click in this area to adjust any of those. You can turn the chart trader on or off. I would never do that. The button is right up here to turn it on or off, but that is something that you might want to look into for your chart trader settings, and colors are all controlled there. One other item that came up. Okay, Sunday. So we did talk about optimized ranges. These are released on Sunday. Something else you need to think about at the beginning of the week. Please watch this video. This is your assignment. I'm not going to go over every detail here tonight, because again, we want to move forward quickly, and this is the boot camp, getting you up to speed quickly. You just need to know there are things you need to do on Sunday night. One adjustment is on a Sunday into Monday, instead of on your lowest time frame charts for performance, you're not going to have one day of data. You need to have multiple days of data. You need to go back to Friday. So it's as simple as this. On a Sunday, as you're coming into the week, so the markets open at 6 p.m. Eastern time. All right, and at that time, the market starts moving around. You're like, oh, okay, I got my charts up. They'll be okay. They'll work for you, but you're going to be missing something, because there's no, what happened to Saturday data? Is there Saturday data? No, there's not, right? Markets are closed on Saturday. Now, if you're using our system on crypto, you don't have a problem. You're going to have data all the time, so you can ignore this. But if you're trading any other of the other instruments, particularly where we're focused on E-minis and futures, then this is going to matter to you. You need to go back. You need to get Friday's data bars. Here's what you need. You need bars. So our calculations are based on bars previous. In order to read information and predict what's coming up in the future, I got to have enough bars to work with. Okay. If you're starting out Sunday night, 6 p.m., you're at bar 0. Okay. It's called bar 0. That's your current bar, and it works your way backwards. Well, if I've only got 3 bars because it's like 6:05 p.m. and I've only printed like 2 or 3 bars, and I got to look 100 bars back to do a calculation, I need 100 bars. That's the simple answer of it. So I need Friday's data. In order to do that, I'm going to show you guys how to go into the data series in NinjaTrader. You simply right click your chart, and you're going to set your days to load. Okay. Look in your days to load. And again, on the lowest time frame Ripple charts, that's the far right hand charts. If you're like, hey, how come it's Sunday night? I don't have anything populated right here. It's because by default for performance, generally we're only going to put 1 day of data. And so that we can look back X number of bars, we have to at least have a minimum set of bars to the left of the current bar 0. And we need some bars to the left. Days to load. I need to set this generally on a Sunday night to 3 so that I go back. You got Sunday, you got, let's say that you're right here on Sunday. I got to go back 1 day, Saturday, to go back to Friday. Okay. Now I'd like the entire day of Friday. So I just want to make sure I've covered enough days of data. So I recommend setting this to 3, or if you're coming in on a Monday, I got to get Sunday, Saturday, Friday, get those 3 days of data. That's what we're doing that for. So basically short answer is on Sunday, how many days of data am I going to set it to? Everybody type 3. I'm going to set it to 3 days of data with one exception. What if it is a holiday? If there was a holiday on Friday, or a holiday on a Monday, which happens a lot, so you're going to need this, then you're going to need to set it to 4 days of data on a holiday so that your charts populate. If you have any issues on that, ask in the chat. And of course, tech support is always there to answer those questions as well, but we generally like you to just ask in the public chat. Somebody will get you directed. Watch this video, all the details, how to set all of it up, and all of that. There is a quick little link here I'm going to show you in the data series on what that looks like. If you are, again, we are covering this for the brand new folks looking for data series. Here it is, data series right here. So in data series right there, okay, this setting right here, it says days to load. Yeah, look over here to the right. Yes, default is 1 day of data on the lowest time frame bar, but you need to set that to 3 or 4. All right, there we go. In the fundamentals, let's get back to business. Order of operations, always keeping that in mind on everything we do. Order of operations still applies, and our 3-step rule to enter in on a position as we look into a strategy entry. Now, as you are working with your strategy entries, we're going to concern ourselves with our position details. So once I open up a position, we're going to go through the position details indicator. This is really neat. I kind of always wished NinjaTrader had this built in by default, but they don't, so we coded it for you. Pretty neat stuff here. It is as simple as whenever you have a bracketed target. In this case, this position is open, and a little number to the right there says it's got 10 contracts open, and it's currently up $605 with the current price being right here. But sometimes you want to know, well, how much am I going to make if I hit my targets? Well, here comes position details. On that little bracket up there, that is hit if you've got your ATM set, or if you came in, and there are several ways as we get into the button panels that I'll show you how you can add these brackets or targets on these, that you will get some extra information. This little tag over here on the left is the position details indicator. This will tell you how many ticks away is your target. In this case, it says 24 ticks away, and you've got 10. That is saying how many contracts are at this tag, and you can have multiple tags. As we know, this is just a simple example. I think there's a more complex example here we'll show here in a minute. This tells you how many contracts, how many ticks, and it tells you what the value will be on this instrument. Again, multiplying times the number of ticks times the tick value based on the instrument. Remember, some of our instruments are $5 a tick, some of them are $12.50 a tick, some of them are $10 a tick for the primaries that we trade. Same thing goes for the stop. It will tell you how much you're risking. So in this case here, you were risking with that stop there, 10, 11 ticks with a stop, $595 on the risk, $1,205 for the reward in this little bracket right here. Position details is nice to have on your charts. Shows in both directions. This is just an example of what it looks like in the opposite direction. Again, showing how many ticks away it is and your target. That will make more sense to you when we start doing, if you're kind of wondering, well, where do I set my stops and targets? We'll get to that when we get into strategies. Remember, we will cover strategies after fundamentals. This is going to be awesome starting tomorrow, day 5. Do not miss day number 5. If you've been around a while and you're an old pro at this stuff and this is getting boring to you, you haven't caught anything in these first few videos because it's kind of rudimentary. Day 5, baby, let's go. All right. It's going to be awesome. So position detail indicator can be added to any chart. Another example, I wanted to see one with multiples. Position details settings. Now, if your machine can handle it and the markets are moving slow enough, you might want to set this all the way down to right here on the calculate. Right now it's set to on price change. If you want it to move really, really quickly and you've got the overhead, or you're using less charts, you're using like a simple chart setup, like a 3-chart layout, you can actually set this to on each tick instead of on price change, and that will actually, if you're wondering like, hey, sometimes this takes a second to update, when the market's fluctuating back and forth, I don't see it fluctuating like that. If you want to see every single tick, you can set that to a higher calculation value. There's some warnings on that where the calc override right here, and some other items. If it is kind of feel your machine kind of slowing down on that, there are some calculation settings that you can override to take a little less horsepower on that on your chart. Okay, so I do not have a screenshot for you with multiples, but this does apply if you've got multiple targets as well. It will show you at each value and at each area how much money you'll be making on that play every tag that shows up. So if you have multiple tags right here, it will write all of the information right there to the left of each tag. The button panel, good lead into the buttons themselves. So we have our standard buttons, and then we have Algobox buttons. Let's scroll down here. This is the button panel. You can add this to any chart with a chart trader on it. Little grid of buttons over there on the right. We've got bracket, add stop, naked, flatten all. A bracket, if you entered into a position naked, meaning you did not have an ATM set, you're like, oh, I forgot to set my ATM. No worries. We can add that afterwards. You can add a bracket. These have default settings. You can change those. We'll go into the property settings here in a moment because you can set your bracket. Now remember, a bracket is a stop and a target. It is a bracket would be like this. So if I've got an entry and let's say that I'm in a long play and I'm going, okay, well I want the price to, you know, I'm looking for the price to move up, but you're like, oh, I didn't set a stop or target. So I can press that bracket button and it will automatically go ahead and put one of these and one of these. So it will set a stop and a target there based on your current contract count. So contract count, let's say that it was 10, then it will automatically set a bracket of 10 and 10. It will add the bracket around it and then you can move it to where you want. And remember, it will, as you drag it, it will show you what targets that you want to set that on. And I am going to move through this section quickly because this is pretty basic stuff here. You can change the colors and you can also set those hotkeys. So if you're like, okay, I want to be able to press a button really quickly, you can do it here. Some of the most important stuff is probably the half and double. For sure the half. I don't use double nearly as much, but the half button I use quite a lot. And then the others I generally use for the mouse, but there are buttons automatically assigned. So if you find yourself wanting to use those a lot, or you've got a gaming controller, we've got some folks who put up, I think N.E.R.D actually sent me one. Really, really cool. I'll have to show you guys that tomorrow. I guess I don't have it here with me. I really liked it, but I ended up going back to my standard keys on the left-hand side of my desk here. It was just taking up a little bit too much room. So, but it's very cool factor. All right, the psychology bot on the bottom right over here. What is this? It says bot, but it's not really a bot. It just happens to be BOT. B stands for background color, O stands for overlay, and T stands for text. Now, you might think, well, what does that mean? The speedometer is going to tell you how fast in bars per minute is being printed on the chart that you're currently on. Now, you're going to find certain speeds that you're going to like. I have them preset for you to things that I kind of like, with some gauges internally to things where I'm like, I believe that the best speed is X to X, and over X is too fast and under X is too slow. So let me show you what I mean by that. Yeah, that's down here a little ways. I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead in the module here since we went and touched on those as they kind of look like buttons there. Let's go ahead and go into those. So the speedometer, if the speedometer is up here at 101, that might be a little bit too fast. 101 bars per minute might be a little bit too fast. So let's talk about what each of these does. Again, you can get a lot of details in here. With the gigantic X, this is the overlay. This is for, I kind of have this as the solution to psychology going, when should I not trade? In fact, I think that is one of the bigger challenges in trading, is to know not when to trade, because, you know, standard setup is pretty easy to get into, but the actual knowing when not to trade is more difficult. And there's all this whole thing. There's a lot of books on there on psychology and whatnot. I found that you can almost read it and know if it's going to be a harder day psychologically based on the speed and movement of the bars. I mean, even if you're taking losses and you're taking them fast, it's like, oh, okay, like there's something easy about nope, or taking it quickly, like we talked about last night, versus the, you know, some slow grinder thing that becomes difficult. And the psychology module, that's why I call it the psychology module, based on speed. And we've got settings in there. I'm going to hopefully get to here in the screenshots here that will help you out with that. Now, this is what it looks like if you turn on the background color. So the O for overlay, that was the giant X. B is the background color, so you can change that, and currently is set to red by default. You can set that to whatever color you want, but red generally is like the whole, hey, I'm crazy. So if you set it to the T in text, so the psychology module set on text, you've got some visual cues that are going to be written on the screen. That's literally going to tell you, is it too fast? Is it great speed? Like right now, I've got great speed right now. Valid speed is like, yeah, it's okay. And then you've got absolutely too slow. This is too slow. It's going to be torturous. Maybe just walk away until the chart's clear. Now, when I say chart's clear, it's because down here at the bottom right, this is what the text, it's going to write it down here if you have text enabled right here. So if you select the T all by itself, then it will draw this. And so your next question might be, well, can I do multiples of these? Can I do all three? Yes, you can. These are selectable, so you can have the background and the overlay and the text all writing right there. And this can be helpful. If you struggle with the whole like, hey, when should I not trade? I'm not disciplined. I need the system to literally tell me when. You can have the entire chart covered up with a big red background and an X on it, and literally the text at the bottom telling you, hey, it is too slow right now, or too fast. Don't even look at the chart right now. There we go. This is what it looks like when they're all turned on. Are those all on? Yes. So you could have it like this. It says do not trade, and I've got an X and a red. It's all over the screen. This is just, all right, look away. I call it the Medusa effect. Don't be watching every single bar being tempted into a play setup. And this psychology module, you can actually turn this on. If you still are not disciplined enough to really just walk away and not look at it, how about put one of these where it literally makes it almost impossible for you to look at the screen because it's going to hurt your eyes so much, because it's like, I've got this giant set of colors there on my screen. We briefly talked about, actually not briefly, we went in depth on talking about the gear shifting. There is the video around the speedometer. Go into the details on that, and that is all we're going to cover in the psychology module here tonight on that one. So coming back up to the button panels, half and double, do exactly what you probably think they would do. If you are in 10 contracts and you press half, going to go to 5. If you are in 5, an odd number, it is going to round up for how far it's going to half. Double does exactly what you think it's going to do, current contract count, and it will market order on these. This is not, it's not going to limit order or anything. It is going to market order. So you do have to keep that in mind when you are going to be pressing it. If there's a lot of slippage, earlier today is a great example, like right there at the noonday, it was like, I haven't seen the Dow do this much in the middle of the day. Middle of the day, the bid-ask spread by 5 ticks. That was craziness. But that can happen. And today was that massive news scenario talking about tariffs and a lot of different things like that. What does Naked do? So if you have bracket orders already set and you have a lot of orders, it's kind of a scenario where you got a whole lot of brackets maybe going on in your play setup there, and you're like, okay, price is moving a whole lot here, and I need to move these out real quick. You're like, I want to take over and manually exit positions. You might want to punch in the Naked button to just go, okay, just take all the brackets off there for me. So you press that button and instantly all the brackets will get off of your screen. Flatten-all, really only going to use that if I've got multiple instruments with trades open, but it is the same thing as close as well, except that Flatten-all will close positions across an account. So if you had NASDAQ and the Dow open, hit Flatten-all, boom, both of them will close at the same time. Make sense? Did I miss any questions? When you click the bracket order, does it modify the take profit and stop loss in the broker trade, or is it software driven and TPSL is local? It is going to be whatever the orders were originally placed in. They are going to be in market on broker then. At the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, if you're using a live account, if you are virtual with trader funding programs, those are going to be submitted to your trader funding broker or the paper trading account. Make sense? I'm pretty sure it's submitted with the trade at the broker. I've had some orange lines appear when I'm glad my buttons orders are adjusted. Yes, true. And the way that those are actually, when they're fired off, they're called OCO orders. OCO 1 cancels other, OCO. And yeah, you can look up details on how those work, but it's OCO 1 cancels other. We briefly talked about this already. There are short keys for those, and you can bind those to any key on your keyboard if you wish. To those, you just right click indicators and go to the parameters of the button panel. All right, let's move on. We got a lot of things to cover. If you want me to slow down or go back to something, just ask. Bid-ask lines indicator. So what's the bid and the ask? Probably a fundamental thing to know about. If you were in any other kind of trade in the real world, the bid and the ask. So there's somebody selling something. Well, they're going to ask. They have an asking price. So I'm going to use a simple example of, all right, I'm going to offer you this pencil, and I'm asking $5 for it. I'd like you to pay me $5 for this pencil. You might be thinking, dude, $5 for a pencil? I ain't paying that, bro. I'm only willing to pay $2. Like, listen, I need a pencil. I have to have it for my, I don't know, I'm going to take one of those little dot circle test things, and I need a number 2 pencil. I don't have one. Can you get me? I'll give you $2. That is what you bid. So the guy who's bidding is on one side. The guy who is got the ask is on the other. And earlier today when I said, hey, this thing had like a 5-tick spread earlier today, that means the distance between the bid and the ask, in this case here, it's $3. And when I was talking about ticks earlier today, 5-tick spread, that was crazy. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it was going to cost you $25 to press the button there for a moment in one contract. So the bid ask, sometimes you want to know visually what's the spread. And therein lies the purpose of this indicator. Now, I don't have this usually on mine. I kind of, if it's more helpful in the evenings when there's actually spread. Intraday, generally not a problem. And there's other ways to read this because the information is over here on the right oftentimes, and you can kind of feel it as well once you get some experience with you. But if you want to see this visually on your charts for a while, I do think that you should use this during your practice sessions to at least get to know what this looks like. So the bid ask lines are these little lines right there. So there's your ask and there is your bid, always in this order on charts. Make sense? That will show you. Now, if this line, the time you really want to care is when you see some scenario like this, the red line's way up here, and this happens a lot for the nomads. The nomads after hours, you need to be very wary of this, and they'll actually call this out sometimes. Like, whoa, watch out on this. The bid-ask spread is like 8 ticks right now. Be careful. Okay, well, this will visually show that to you. If you're like, I don't know what they're talking about, well, go ahead and add the bid-ask spread, especially if you're trading in the evenings. So that's the pro tip on that. If you're trading in the overnight sessions, Asian sessions, where the markets get thinner, then you'll want to have that bid ask lines turned on, and there's your settings internally. Display the bid, display the ask. I don't know why you wouldn't have those, but they are selectable there for you. You can also have the text of the information displayed. I generally have that turned off, but you can have the text on. It just visually ends up getting a little bit crowded on the chart around your entry, so I don't. There's a quick little video on the bid-ask spread right there to check that one out. Let's move on to the channel regulator indicator. This one is a fan favorite. Come on. Everybody loves a channel regulator. This thing is going to automatically draw those channels for you, and then it will color code it for you if we are shifting red to green or green to red. So this is a scenario where it's red, and as it turns, we shift, and it's now becoming green, and gives you some nice, you know, it's a good visual guide, and sometimes I will use it as a structural entry when I get an R2FA to use my 2-pillar scenario of what do I want? Structure. So this counts as a structure, which would be like a channel. So I can use that to place orders at the top or the bottom of a channel when an R2FA event occurs, and that might be something I might want to do as long as I've got the order of operations particularly with me. Then the channel regulator is going to be a spot where I can maybe take a play. Now, not my favorite place. I usually like to line those up with something else, like something more powerful structure, like a PRZ from one of our harmonics. But when one of those lines up on a channel regulator, top or bottom, that is a nice set of confluence. Settings internally, the width is really the main thing you want to look at this, and these are based on standard deviations over X number of bars. In this case, the calc period there is going to tell you over how many bars. 204 is the default, but I know the nomads are big fans. Some of the guys are making adjustments to that. So if you're asking somebody, hey, what are their settings they've got for the width and the period, that may adjust if yours looks different from somebody else's, but we have the default, and I generally would stick with it. I have a lot of reasons for why we use those 200 period moving averages and blah, 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 blah. Lots of reasons for the ones that are coming out of the gate for you with our defaults. The chart labeler. All right, this one is more of a nice to have. The chart labeler is going to do exactly what it says. It's basically going to tell you what instrument you're on up there at the top right, because sometimes you're like, oh, you got to squint to see, you know, top left where that's located. You can change the location of that. Those are really the only settings. Generally, it's set to the top right. You can change the font to something else fancier. I like Agency FB. If you don't have Agency FB installed, I actually do include that as a file in your NinjaTrader folder. Just double click Agency FB in your NinjaTrader folder after you've installed Algobox. Just double click it and it'll say, do you want to install this font? Click on say yes, and then yours will look like mine if you want to be like mine on live streams. Next one, current day OHL, current day open, high, and low. This is a very handy indicator to have, because when the markets are approaching one of these areas, I've got some tricks around this. When we get to the 3 wise men particularly, this is going to be key. We actually had a scenario like this earlier today, looking for those crosses. Are the crosses landing on the crowns? Then we're going down. On the crown, we're going down. And if it's in the valley, we're probably going to rally. And especially when we are around one of these. Now, we want these to be labeled up. So the high of day, where it currently is, it's going to draw a nice green dashed line like this. Your open line is going to be that sandy colored line in the, I was going to say middle, but not necessarily in the middle. Happens to be in this screenshot. And there's your low of day. And this kind of gives you the, all right, here's the width of the day so far. So people who are working on daily candle bars, basically it'll tell you the width of the bar from top to bottom. We do certain things with these. We'll talk about that when we get into strategy areas. I'm going to give you some visuals on what that might look like. Here's a scenario where it's not in the middle. You can see where the open, we came down a little bit to go to the low, and then it's been moving all the way up in a scenario like that. And it helps you to visualize where those are. Sometimes when the market is around the open line, we have certain things that we will do or not do based on the little magnetism of that area. Show high, show low, show the open. You know, if you don't like the open line or it gets in your way, or you have something else that you want to put at the open line, you like to manually put them, whatever you want to do, you can turn them on or off if you would like. You can also change the colors around on those, but generally I would leave them alone. And of course, at the bottom of every section in our documentation, you can click on a quick little video around each one of those. The golden ropes. The golden ropes. This is kind of a generic piece of wisdom. Trading the markets, a lot of people use the 50 and the 200 period moving average. I mean, they're even talking about this on CNBC, so you kind of want to know generally where these are located. The golden ropes are as simple as the 50 and the 200 period exponential moving average. This is the moving average price of 200 bars back and 50 bars back, and they're drawn on your screen there. Now, I don't have these on the lower time frames. I only have these on the higher time frames. I don't think they're necessary on the lower time frames. I know a lot of you guys are adding them to your low time frames. I hope they're actually adding something to you. I don't think they are. I think they're a waste. I think you're getting in your way and just adding more stuff on your chart that you don't need. Personally, if you see somebody using golden ropes on their lower time frame charts, just be careful. You might want to double check what they're saying to you. I wouldn't trust somebody using golden ropes on the lower time frames. Just saying, because 50 and 200 down the lower time frame doesn't mean a whole lot. Now, the zones around them, these are called the rivers. Now, this is particularly for people who are using the two-finger salute. If you go watch the two-finger salute strategy videos, you'll hear me talk about the zones around those areas and certain plays that occur around them when you get a two-finger salute entry. Are we inside of the river or not? So the rivers are literally a surrounding on those, usually used in combination, and it will end up looking like this. So your the higher time frame charts coming out of the box with Algobox are going to look like this, and that is why. You'll know more about that when you get into the two-finger salute strategy themselves. Okay, there's really not a lot of settings I let you change on any of that because I literally have them hard set. If you just have your heart set on doing it your own way, well, which that's fine. Change them to whatever colors you want. We do have some people who do change those to other colors, and they're like, well, I want to know which one's a 50 and which one's a 200, so I want to make a red one and a blue one. Okay, knock yourself out. But they are the 50 and the 200. Let's move on to some of the proprietary stuff. So we go from the generic stuff to some proprietary things. All right, the MACV chart. This is an important chart. This is a time to get ready to take some notes. Let me make sure I didn't miss any. Trade rate limits the number of orders within a certain time. Yeah, and those things will, you know, it's different when you're talking about, so the real exchange and then these paper exchanges for trader funding programs, but same concepts apply. The submission from NinjaTrader is to the broker, or in your case, the paper broker. But yes, same. Let's see, just enabled the bid-ask lines today again, since my NQ feed was way off. Couldn't catch up fast enough. Okay, awesome. I'd rather have another AO line than an EMA. Oh, 100%. That's wisdom right there from George. Yeah, I would actually, you know, maybe I think I have my defaults. I have set to 4 AO lines back, and he's saying I'd rather add another one of those than have those, you know, kind of useless gold lines. But I do see people putting those on your chart. For some reason, they're taking the extractions of the higher time frames on the low, and it's just not useful. Let's go into the histogram area. So this is a chart with the fiddle zone filtering section on, with the gold area in the middle. This is with it turned off, and it's not there. The important thing to know around the MACV is, remember how I said like some of the most important things are to know when not to trade? Best places when not to trade, where things are going to be more difficult. You're going to need wider stops inside the fiddle zone. If you're in this fiddle zone and you're taking a trade and this histogram is inside of this area, you're going to need wider stops. That's one. In general, now I'm saying that 100%, there's not 100% of anything. Some of them are very snappy, okay? But in general, you're either going to need wider stops, or it's going to take a while to get to your target. It's just going to meander around in there. It may not be getting straight to your target one. You're going to sit there and, you know, you're going to have, it's more of a painful area. So in general, if I'm trying to filter out my trades, I want to not take the trades inside the fiddle zone. You'll hear me say things like, don't fiddle in the middle and don't fiddle in the fiddle. Don't fiddle in the fiddle zone. So we just basically watch for that. Now, that's over on the MACV chart. And some people have asked and put this in our wish list items. One of those wish lists we did fulfill was, hey, can I apply this down to like my main time frame? And the answer is yes. So we went in and okay, so this is showing you the settings. You can change those to something else. I've got them set to gold for you, and this is showing you that over here on the right, you can change those to whatever color you like. I see a lot of people making these changes, and I'm perfectly fine with that. There's, you know, if it makes it easier visually for you to make those a different color, absolutely. I've seen some really cool ones, by the way, so you might want to check out the customizations that some people have done. On the left-hand side of Discord, we've got a section where people can share their workspaces. So you'll see community workspaces section on the left-hand side, and I generally encourage people to post a screenshot along with their XML file that they're sharing so that you can see what it looks like before you go and take a look. But if you see somebody post a screenshot in the room and you're like, hey, that looks cool, hey, can I get your settings? Yes, you might want to go and do that. The flat line. So the flat line is another important zone right there. That is the 0 point where in here, if I'm coming all the way to that flat area, this is a spot where for me, it's one of the things that I talk about is I actually want to reverse an Enigma in this area. So I'm a big Enigma player. If an Enigma shows up here, I'm either going to skip it or I'm literally going to invert the logic oftentimes if we are in the flat line area. That red section all the way down there nearly at 0. If I'm in the fiddle zone area, I may just want to avoid it. But if we're at the flat, in the flat, and you can actually have these marked, I'll show you in a minute here on your actual entry chart as well. Like if it's there, I may want to reverse. So if I see a long, I want to go short. If it's a short, I want to go long on the flat line, and you can see that visually on there, and you can change that color as well. It is set to crimson, but you can change that again. Another thing to change it to whatever color you would like to make it clear for yourself. Lots of color settings in the MACV. Go to town on playing around with the MACV filter. Yes, several videos around that. You're going to see me refer to this all the time in the live streams, so make sure you are familiar with that. Now, the difference between the MACV chart local, what we call MACV local, that is the MACV on the chart for your instrument that you are currently trading. If I'm trading the Dow, then my local is going to be the YM chart MACV chart. If I refer to that as my local MACV, that's local. Not to be confused with MACV Ultimate, right? MACV Ultimate. This is time to wake up right now. MACVU, also known as the MACVU. MACVU is going to be the combination of the nerds. What are the nerds? N-E-R-D. I am going to drive this home until everybody knows that I refer to this as the nerd. All right. NASDAQ, ES, RTY, and the Dow. And this is the combination of each of their locals combined into one singular indicator so that you know the rising tide of all instruments, not even just the high time frame like we talk about the tide. This is like the tide across instruments. This is like if all the markets, the buddies who roll together, these are the correlated instruments, they're running all together. If one, if they're running up and you got a short opportunity, this might be the time to go, I don't know if I want to go against that. And if I am, I'm going to scalp it. I'm going to take a quick one. Love the extreme nerd. MACVU combination needed. It is. We have it. Are the MACV deviation lines standard statistical deviations? Standard deviations versus divergences. Let's go into the lines that are applying. So these white lines are standard deviations, right? So standard deviation 1, standard deviation 2, standard deviation 3, 1, 2, and 3. So if you're like, oh, it's 3 deviations off of the mean, you've heard that before. So those are, you can turn those on and draw them for you. When we get to the masher, I'll talk more about that, but you can turn the deviations on or off. In this screenshot here, they're turned off. There's no white lines on there. But to turn those on, those are the standard deviation lines. But yes, I want to hit on those in detail when we hit the masher. And I just didn't want to jump ahead to that. I want to apply that a lot when we get to the actual strategy. Did they answer that question? Does Dream Panel ignore entering enigmas at the flat zone? It does, but it does have a button for you to invert the logic. I'm going to remove the flow master bot panel, remove, and I'm going to add Enigma Platinum Dream panel. The invert logic on or off. So as you're passing into that area, you can do this manually, but no, I do not have that full auto programmed, but we can add it to the wish list. But you do have the logic button for yourself to put that at any time. So I might use that where if I had the flat line pinging me on my main entry chart and I see it go red, be like, okay, I click invert, then the red goes away, turn invert off. Might do something like that. At the same time, if I already have the fiddle zone filter, here's why it kind of doesn't matter. Like I'll say it doesn't matter. Everything matters. But if I have the fiddle zone filter on, which most of the time I do, so if I've got fiddle zone filter on, well, that already covers the flat zone, right? The flat zone is in there, so I'm not going to take plays in there anyhow. So in order for you to do that, you would have to have fiddle zone off, like taking trades inside of the fiddle zone. And so if it came down there into the flat, then you would invert. Does that make sense? So I've kind of like, I feel like this kind of covers it, but just in case you wanted to, you could do this and this, this and this. So the MACV Ultimate is the combo, and it looks like this. Direction of the following indexes, get the list, the result of those, which displays the overall market direction in real time. There are 5 status levels in the MACV Ultimate. We've got strong sell, moderate sell, neutral, moderate buy, and strong buy. Looks like this. Now, people have asked, we talked about this the other day, somebody asked, well, hey, why don't we turn off, don't you just need the most recent one? Yeah, but don't you want to know kind of context of if we are neutral right now, but where did we come from? Have we been on buy side all day? That might influence you on that play, because we are more likely to go back to that if we've been there all day, right? Makes sense. So I kind of like to follow what I call the snake. So I'm going to reference that again. Where have we currently been? So looks like we've kind of been on both sides in this scenario. No problem. Earlier today, it looked like this on the right side only. There were basically no sell sides anywhere on a giant trend day in the markets today. So I would want to kind of know that before I start jumping in. If I touch a neutral, it's not like, oh, I could take a short. No, not today. Right, might be a place to get long in the neutral area with a setup. Okay, so remember, this is a filter, not necessarily an entry. If you wanted to go through some scenarios like this, there's something called the red rover, the green rover, that is more of a strategy type of thing. Let me break up some of the monotony on this a little bit here, and let's play this real quick.
How do you make a moonshot even more powerful? Filter with the Algobox MACV Ultimate Indicator. It aggregates the direction of YM, ES, RTY, and NQ, telling you the overall direction of the markets. Talk about stacking the deck in your favor.
Target fill. Target fill.
Algobox MACV Ultimate. Free to use on our Discord.
Beautimus. All right, so let's go on to, speaking of no fiddle zone, the no fiddle zone indicator. Not to be confused, again, when you get to this section, this is actually an indicator that you can add to another chart. You want to add this on your Ripple charts, on your entry charts. Now, I'm not saying that you can't take an entry off of your 9s, but we don't put the chart trader on it for a reason, because generally I'm not going to do that. And I say generally because, yes, as of late, when the markets got nuts with the tariff scenario, tariff talks, what we call the terrifying markets going on, we had to go all the way up to the 9s on NQ for me to even start using that as an entry chart. That was crazy there for a few days. It kind of slowed things down again. Now we've tamed a little bit. The no fiddle zone. So places to show you where not to trade. Here we go. So you can have it bright orange like this out of the box. It's bright orange. I turn mine to a gray color on my backgrounds, and oftentimes like this is less concerning. We should have probably done a screenshot more on like on a Dow or a Russell or ES, where you've got swaths of spaces where it's like, okay, this whole section is inside of the fiddle zone. On NQ, you know, you're whipping around out of NQ quite often, so screenshot here. But it's giving you a nice example. Here's one in action where the colors are going to paint there on the screen for you, telling you when you might not want to take those trades. So we're inside of the yellow area. I may not be wanting to take those plays until it gets outside in that nice clear black area. So that is just one of those. It's like, hey, if I don't want to look over at my MACV chart, can I just draw it on my entry chart? Or if you're on a laptop scenario or in a mobile space and you're like, I'm just trading with one chart, I need all the information on one chart, you can do that using the no fiddle zone indicator. Just make sure you've got 3 days of data on there so you've got enough bars back to be able to get you enough information. Sometimes you might have to go back as far as 5 days of data on that chart to make sure that you are filling that out appropriately. If your no fiddle zone is not filled or not showing properly, here's the answer. You need more days of data. I'm going to pause right there. And remember, again, if your no fiddle zone is not showing correctly, you need more days of data. Maybe one day I'll put that in the error message, error handling that says you don't have enough bars, you need to add more days of data. It's on the wish list. We'll get there. But for right now, just know if it's not showing properly, we get tech support tickets. Not all the time, but on occasion we get them, and it's just, just add more days of data, and then boom, 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 you're good to go. Especially on Mondays, we'll have that, and Sundays. Thank you, Eddie. Appreciate it, sir. You are the man. Okay. MACV chart, no fiddle zone, show deviations. All right, so this comes back to the question you were asking earlier, and there it is. So turn on show deviations, and then boom, you get these nice little white lines there that you can use. They are kind of an alternative to the masher, or they kind of give you a guide of where we might be, and looking for spots for particularly reversal trades, depending on the type of day layout there, and we'll go into detail on that, I promise, when we get to the masher areas. This is the region highlight color. We're just talking about that. You can change that to whatever you like. The no fiddle zone settings. There we go. Okay, so now the zone calculation. You can actually make that wider or narrower. I would leave it to the default, but you can change that percentage, and so play with that if you wish. If you need a narrower zone, if like, you know what, I like some of the plays on the way up and out. I just want to make sure I'm out of that really small spot. The lowest you can go with this is down to 5% on either side. I think Eddie cloned himself about 4 times. Yeah, we need more Eddies around for sure. Audio alerts. It can get a little chatty if you turn this on. So I would just say be careful turning the audio on that one. It can get very chatty, but you never know. Like if you really enjoy, like if you're a super auditory learner type of person, this might be for you. I'm kind of that way. I kind of like to hear a lot. Some people are like, oh, there's too much going on there. I actually like to hear it. My brain works off of audio cues a lot. So I actually like the audio a lot, but that one can particularly get chatty. Go to SMLK timing lines. This is a big feature, one of our original OGs, but very important. This is Wyckoff theory done for you. Wyckoff and DARVAS combo, or basically timing the idea behind, it's essentially like, I would love to take large and king size trades, wouldn't you? And so these are kind of like warning zones. Be like, hey, if you're taking this area, it might be a smaller trade on a smaller or medium. And some of us, if you're on my live streams right now, you'll notice I only have large and king labeled on the screens now. And there's a video down here at the below that's going to show you how to do that. This is what it looks like drawn out on your charts. This is just a way to predict where a bigger play is going to come in. Now, I'm not just taking a play instantly just because it lands in the large king size timing area. I want to combine that and wait for it to get an actual play set up in this area, unless I've already got a play area over to the left that I've already started working in, and then I might want to Dr. Seuss entry for 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish on entries in that direction when I land in the large and king time area. You'll see me do that a lot as a technique, but just generally just need to know SMLK timing lines will draw these for you. And let's look at the settings internally. Now, you can actually widen these if you want. I've got these set to some really good settings, in my opinion. If you want to play with it and see if you like some other settings better, you would probably want to run this on a back test. So go back. First, you would want to do number of drawings. If you're doing a back test, you want to change that from 2 that are continuously, it's basically the idea of a sliding window where they're continuously, because you don't want too many lines on the chart. So they are removing themselves after 2, or you can set it to more if you want to see more to the left, or if you're doing a back test, you would want to turn this on. People always ask all the time, hey, how come I don't see SMLK timings to the left? It's because right here in the settings for performance and for visuals, we turn that down. So number of drawings, I'm drawing 2. If you want all the way back to the left, you need to set this to like 1,000. And then you'll go to the left and you'll see them all drawn out. If you want to do some back testing on that, very handy. Bar threshold, 30. This is the size of the Wyckoff area that I want to measure. I don't want to do anything less than 30 bars. Essentially all that is. And if you want a wider one, if you want like, I want it to be 50, or I only want to count 100 bars, I only care about the hundreds, and I want to launch on those. You can backtest that and see how well that works. I have seen that. I just feel like I end up missing out on a lot of other plays in between. But yeah, you might want to play with those. So how to do that? There is a video down below. I do want to, well, no, for brevity's sake, I would recommend go and watch this if you want to set your, so out of the box, it's going to have small, medium, large, and king. If you want only large and king to show, if you're like, I just want to care like when the large and king show up, kind of like I have it on my live streams, this video right here is a quick short on how to go into the settings and do that. Move along to the FIBELLIDOTT. Oh boy, the beast. This is a very powerful tool. One of the original OG powerful entry modules that I had created a long time ago, 2016, 2017. He's been with us for a long time, the FIBELLIDOTT. This is multi-fib plus Elliott wave. If you don't know what those theories are, you might want to go check those out here because I'm not going to go into a ton of details on those tonight. Again, we are in boot camp mode, telling you how to use it, not necessarily how the sausage is made. But I'm sure everybody's heard of Fibonacci, and if you haven't, well, go look that one up. Fibonacci levels and Elliott wave theory combined. But not only is it just Fibonacci and Elliott wave, it is multi-fib. So I'm not just taking just one. It's got to be multiples from multiple time frames laying in the same location, and an Elliott wave of two equal legs. An Elliott wave is ABCD theory of leg 1 and leg 2 being equidistant, and that's what you'll see in combos. Now we'll go into strategies on those, but you just need to generally know what these are, what they look like, and their different color to know how powerful, air quotes, they might be and what's behind them. Okay, a blue one is going to be the most powerful long side. A bright green is a little bit more powerful than a dark green. So the lowest is dark green. So you see the dark green over there on the right. Then you see the bright green. So if you notice, like, no, that's not, your eyes are not fooling you. Now, if you're red, green, colorblind, I apologize. This is a little bit weird, but we do have different colorings for this. There's a different color palette. So if you're having problems with red, green, it's okay. We do take that into account for colorblind scenarios, and you can go into the settings, and I'll show you those settings here in just a moment that you can change those. There's also one, and there's like a red, white, and blue. Of course, you're like, well, it's red, green, colorblind. Anyway, I put red. Well, there's an American one. You want to go America, and you want to go full MAGA on your charts. You can have red, white, and blue colorings instead of our standard default as well. Once you get good at it, I would recommend maybe doing that at that point. So there we go. Dark green, moderate strength, bright green, strong. Blue is the strongest for color settings, and you see those kind of marked out right there. And then on the other side of that, you have the short selling side, pink being the most powerful in that area and kind of works the same way, bright red and dark red for those. And again, if you do have hard time seeing those, we do have various palettes that I'll show you out of the box for those. Piercer plays, we mentioned that briefly the other night. There's a whole video on this. So if I have the, let's say in this scenario right here, so that's a green dot, but if I have my two steps in front of it that are red, so if I've got, let's say, strong sell, and I've got red arrow, strong sell, and I got arrow 2, but I get a green dot, and I'm looking for an entry. I'm like, I am chomping at the bit. I am outside of the fiddle zone. Everything is absolutely perfect, and then I'm like, oh, come on, give me a setup, give me a setup. I'm like, oh, I got a green dot. Boom, right here. I can take that piercer as an entry, and a green dot piercer means it's been pierced through. The price pierced through it. Almost hardly just ignored it that it was there. Boom, I can take that as an entry for my entry 1. Then I might Dr. Seuss entry right there, Dr. Seuss entry right there, Dr. Seuss entry right there, and look for a closeout on that position. If I've got my 2 higher time frame HTF details with me, 2 steps, then I'm looking for an entry. These dots can be used as piercers, and I know I'm kind of jumping into a strategy there. I'm getting ahead of myself there on it, but I saw piercers, so I had to talk about it. So the opposite, same thing. We got 2 greens, and I get a red, and we're piercing through. Now I'm looking for a green right behind the red dot for the piercer. Got some examples there for you on those piercers. Here's some live examples. Double dot piercer, targets filled. In the settings, you can turn sound on, sound off. The strength of swing. Honey badger means both directions. You can actually turn these to where You only have long side. I don't know why you'd want to do that, or short side. I don't know if you want to do that. But again, some people are, I'm a bull only. There are people who are like, all I take are longs. If you're a long only player, you might want to turn off the reds. At the same time, you might want to use them for exits, though. So I'm just saying, like, sometimes, like, you go green, that's fine, but you might want to exit on a red. I'm just saying, I would have both turned on. So I don't know of a scenario where I wouldn't have Honey Badger on, but I joke about Honey Badger. So you got bulls, bears, and Honey Badger. If you know about Honey Badger, the animal, Honey Badger just don't care. So he is a beast. If you go look up any videos around Honey Badgers, they ain't scared of lions, tigers, bears, nothing. They're like, whatever, dude. Like, they will fight you. Okay, so I joke about it. And so, you know, it's my terrible sense of humor. And so it's Honey Badger mode means both directions. Okay, bull and bear. All right, original color profile right here that we talked about for red-green colorblind scenarios. You got the original color profile, or you have some of these to play around with. There's your red, white, and blue that I was talking about earlier. Or America! If you want to grayscale it, you got grayscale, tritanopia, deuteranopia, and protanopia. There we go. I tried it. I said it. Don't fault me for it. Audio calculations, all the settings. Any questions, pop them there in the chat. Exit on opposing signal. That's right. Hold to the opposing signal. And after FIBELLIDOTT, we have harmonic patterns. Oh boy. We're getting to the meat. Next is Flowmaster on the list. It's getting hot in here. Can you feel it? Harmonic patterns, automated geometric price structures. Harmonic patterns are chart patterns based on Fibonacci retracements, extensions, and projections of market price structure, which can indicate a potential reversal zone in the market. Algobox automatically plots harmonic patterns. So there's no need to manually draw them. Because if you ever try to manually draw these, it is going to drive you insane. By default, bullish harmonic patterns are green, bearish are red, but the colors can be customized by the user. I've seen some really neat layouts. Some of you guys who have the whole, you got blue on them, it actually really looks cool. I have been tempting many times to do it, but I'm going to wait till we're past boot camp and we do the small account challenge. And then after the small account challenge here during the summer, I think I might do that. We'll see. The rectangular boxes are the PRZ, potential reversal zones. This is the important part of the harmonic. Now, if your PC is having struggles with, I don't know, using a low-end machine or whatnot, the first thing you want to turn off is the harmonic drawings, but you want to keep the PRZs, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a moment inside of our settings. You can change that option there, and it's pretty easy. Okay, so the drawings themselves, they do take up a lot of processing for your computer there to draw. Oops. So there's a Gartley, and the measurements on those, this is basically like Fibonacci extensions. So this pulled back up to, like, in this case is like a 50%, and then we project it down at 33%, and then we pull back up at 60%, and then basically that's the whole harmonic scenario of, okay, if you connect these things together, they make these harmonic shapes. That's the general idea behind harmonics, and there's a lot of videos of this type of stuff online. I'm not going to go into every single one. There's a butterfly, there's a Gartley, there's a bat, and they've got nice little animal names for some of them, and some of them are diamonds, and we got crabs, butterflies. What else we got? The 5-0, Gartley, shark, deep crab, cipher, alt bat. Yeah, most of them are animal patterns. So there we go. I didn't name them, but we did make them better. It's like, I didn't invent the chicken, but I invented the chicken sandwich, aka Chick-fil-A. The PPRZ, this is what we made better. So there's a PRZ, which is standard, without the P. PRZ, that's potential reversal zone. This is any harmonic strategist that's drawing these up, they have PRZs. The PPRZ, the predicted potential reversal zone, because I'm going to predict it for you and show you where it will be. And I show it to you in like a red light, green light system. What is ready? What color is get ready, or it's about to be, is yellow, right? Yellow light, you are driving around the streets, you see a yellow light, you know it's about to turn red, right? So, about to. The yellow means it's about to. Shark pattern green, shark pattern red, and again, you can change these to whatever color you like. This one is a PPRZ. So it is going to draw a little box. So you're like, what does that PPRZ look like? It looks like this. So there's a little box hanging out there and it's yellow. And price is up here somewhere at the time. So if it had come through and price is going like this and we're about to go like this, it will show you. And sometimes we can use this for a target or an area where I can get ready to press the button to, in this case, go long. It says get ready, and I can just tell because we're coming down, then that would be a potential reversal zone. So we want to reverse out of that area. Where's the Megalodon? There should be a Megalodon, shouldn't there? The bat patterns, we got red and green, got the crab patterns. So each one of these, it's a nice little diagram. This is really more for fun. You really just need to know that one of these existed. Remember our two pillars, structure, and then an RTOFA event. So have fun with these. You want to put these out on your wall. They look really cool. I would make some neat little art out of these and decorate my office because they're fun. But you basically need to know where the PRZ is. That's where I'm going to be looking for an RTOFA event for my structure on my chart. Let's go in the settings. So we have audio alerts for these. We have some performance settings. If you need to turn the performance settings down, those are the main things that I want to chuck in here too. There's the colors. You can change those colors. There's red, green, and yellow. I have seen some really neat colors. I almost want to, we should do a contest to like see who can make their stuff look the coolest. Because I have a feeling some of you guys are a lot more creative than me. Two major important things in this area. First one, name, label, PRZ. I really think you should just keep this checked all the time. This will put the name of whatever the setup is right there next to the PRZ versus writing it to the left. If you only, for some reason, you learned that I said, hey, shark patterns are the most powerful and you only wanted to be a shark back player for whatever reason, you want to be shark back only, you can uncheck all of this stuff. And of course, it was also, if you are having struggles on PC, keeping up, you got an older machine, you're like, I just want the sharks and diamonds because I hear the shark is the most powerful, diamond is the weakest. So I want to combine that with a piercer breaker. That might be a way that you might want to use that, but you can turn off some of the calculations on each one of these. But before you do that, if it is purely for performance, there is a setting right up here that I want everyone to pay attention to. Draw only the PRZ. If you check that right there, it will only draw the box. The PRZ boxes themselves for draw only PRZ. Makes sense? And you simply select that option and it will override everything else. The colors will be whatever color you selected, but it will draw the PRZ box only and won't, I won't say waste the resources, but won't spend the resources on drawing the nifty little, this gigantinormous thing. You're like, all I care about, Vinny, is this right here. Okay, I just want that. Where does that land? Just draw me the thing. Just draw the thing. So it can. And actually, your charts look pretty neat when they just have the boxes. It does. I'll be honest. It looks pretty freaking cool. If you haven't done it or tried it, hey, at least give it a shot. It will also allow you to go back to the left a lot farther without any performance issues. So that is one of the other settings in there for how many drawings to the left and how many bars to the left that this is going to do. One of the top settings, let's get it back to this one right here. So up here in the performance area, limit number of bars right there. So right now, by default, it'll only go 500 bars back. So if you're wanting to back test this and you want to go farther, you need to set this like 50,000 and look to the left. Now, you'll kind of miss out on a few things, but the PRZ boxes are relative, so they will show you sizes, but there is something to be said for knowing and feeling how big a PRZ is going to be based on how big the pattern is. If this went over a lot of bars or if it was kind of short term, it was smaller. So I like to have them on. If you can afford to have them on for your performance, then have them on. Questions? If I missed any, pop them there in the chat. Those live on the 89 range. Decipher Sharks rule. Indeed. You'll try it out? Awesome. Yeah, let me know how you like it. Pattern visibility, I think we covered all of that. Do harmonics actually work? There was a time when the infamous ICT trolled me, said, "Oh, you stupid animal patterns." The guy who claims to have coded the markets, who can't code, that's all. The irony in that, I can't understand that level of, I have to say evil, because he's not retarded. He's a smart guy, but literally the level of immoral abuse that this idiot does is crazy. Anyhow, he was like, it doesn't work. I literally was like, I'm gonna make this video just for you. Go watch this video, show the stats. Do harmonics actually work? Go watch this video. And then you come back and tell me. It was it was pretty epic. I'll just say that. Okay, so 2 videos there you don't want to miss on harmonics. One of the most powerful components in our system for structures, so know these. Go ahead and spend some time on the harmonic patterns in the fundamentals area. If you skip other things, spend a little time here on the harmonics. You'll appreciate it later, I promise. Next, oh boy, into the Flowmaster we go. Now, Flowmaster internal to Algobox is an internal separate, literally a whole separate DLL that will run through and handles all time and sales stuff coming in. It's doing its thing constantly internally, and that's why I called it Flowmaster. The flow, the order flow itself is being handled. So anything that you'll notice, and this is trademarked by us, the Flowmaster items, okay, these are going to be handled mostly. Now, not all, because the Enigma has some other components as well, but there are heavy components. If it is using time and sales, internals, I'm looking at that with the Flowmaster. The Flowmaster is constantly doing its work behind the scenes. That's what's doing it, okay? So anything Flowmaster related or leveled up, you'll see it labeled as Flowmaster. Now, the first one, Alpha, Omega. Now, these are not necessarily in order of importance or anything, so just hang with. We're hitting all of them, okay? All right, Alpha, Omega crosses. These are very powerful, also known as the AO. You'll hear us talk about AOs. If I say AO in the Discord, I'm sorry, well, yes, in Discord, but in a live stream, AO, that's Alpha, Omega. Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. The Algobox Flowmaster Alpha Omega algorithm performs real-time order flow analysis. That's the RTOFA. I really want you to become familiar with that term, RTOFA, in combination with volume at price and other proprietary calculations. There's a level 14 and a launch. That is the beginning of a move, oftentimes. That's why I call it the beginning and the end, because it will oftentimes signal the beginning or the end of a major move. 11.8 and the down move, as you can see right there. The AO indicator plots colored crosses when price reaches prior auction zone highs and lows, and large algorithmic order flow activity is detected. There are 4 types of Alpha Omega crosses: the Alpha Bullish, green and blue, Omega Bearish, red and pink. Same color combinations as we said with the FIBELLIDOTTs. Remember, the blue is more powerful, the pink is more powerful. Simple, all you need to know. Now, there are not different colors reds and they're not different color greens in the scenario, but we have numbers next to them. That will be important later when we get into the strategies on numbers, okay? You'll learn that on a 19. I'm pretty much going to take a short every single time, okay? Level 20, same thing. On the other side of that, we had one of those today, midday. It was awesome. And then it followed up literally beginning and the end of that. It was like 19, pff, boom. And then it was like, boom, 20.1, boom. It was like, okay, beginning and the ending. And I wasn't ready for it to be done. I wanted to make more off of that play, and it went back the other way after the second one showed up. So important to know these things as we go. We'll talk more about that as we hit into the strategies, but just need to know generally what these are for. These are RTOFA events. So remember our 2 pillars. I'm going to hit it again. 2 pillars. What are they? 1, structure. 2, RTOFA. What is this considered? RTOFA. So I need a structure along with this, right? What do I want? I want either top of a channel, or I want a harmonic along with one of these. What's a harmonic with one of these? That's going to be a PRZ cross. In the case of an AO, it's going to be a super. So we call it a super PRZ cross. Anyhow, we'll get into those, getting ahead of myself, but those of you guys who know, y'all been here a while. So the horizontal lines that George was talking about earlier, these end up being important levels later on in that day. So you see this little horizontal line that's coming out from those. These are better than support and resistance. You will find like these can be very interesting and great areas using for targets, or areas where things will kind of hang out and hold. You'll start to get big zones around these sometimes, especially later on in the day on volume profiles. So these horizontals are on by default, but again, like we had before, there's a limited number, and you can make these as many or as few as you want. And there's different strategies around how and why you might want to use those. By default, I believe it's set to 4. We're going to draw the left to the 4, and it is a sliding window. The most recent 4 is really all I care about in general. Now, when the markets get wider or narrower, you may want to increase that number or decrease that number accordingly, and we'll get into that when we talk about strategies. There's a perfect setup of scenario where it's a beginning and I'm going to exit on the ending. So if I'm going to hold to opposing signal, entering in on an 18.4 with something else, because again, we don't want to just do only a RTOFA by itself, although an 18.4 is pretty darn good, and I probably might do that. In fact, I do that quite often, but I might have to have a re-entry, because as you can see, we would have stopped out right there below it, because you're going to learn when we get into the advanced stop strategies that I like to have a stop right below a cross, a dot, a box, or a triangle, right? Or text, but basically one of our symbols that shows up on the chart. I'm going to put my stop back behind it, or mentally go, okay, it didn't work out exactly the way that I wanted to. This would be a 2 try roll scenario here. Enter in right there at the dot at the middle, stops out, boom, comes back through, re-entry right there for the 2 try roll. Still lets you roll with the big dog on the AO, especially in that 940 to 950 reversal time, or 220 in the afternoon. Ichio has a strength number indicating the current market imbalance. Higher numbers suggest stronger bullish or bearish pressure. For example, a green AO with a 12.4 reading indicates that the buy order activity at that area is a 12.4 multiple of the selling activity in that same area over X number of bars to the left. And it's not even bars. We're actually counting the deltas themselves, proprietary to Algobox. Bullmaster Alpha Omega settings. What's important here? Colors, of course. High strength, low strength values. This is one of the few things inside of our system that you, I don't want to say need to tune, but you need to be very familiar with tuning, especially if you're playing in the after hours. I know Bob's here. He knows what's up. Lately, I know I was on their program with them one time, and we kind of chatted over this, and I've been noticing they're doing a really good job of adapting this almost every night. They've got their high and low strength turned down in the evenings, whereas intraday, that low strength value is nice and set at 10. But we're trying to find those pivot levels, right? I want to know, well, what's the value recently that has turned the market? There's an AO tuning video for this, so I don't want to get too deep into this, but just know that that setting right there is going to be one that you're going to want to adjust. The high setting is just a color change. So I believe I've got it set to 1018. So that means, I'm sorry, 15.5. So above a 15.5, I want to change the color, and then you can change that later on. You can make that higher or lower. I think I have mine set to 18 when I'm on NQ, because I'm like, it's not really that powerful unless it's like a level 18 on NQ, because she is a wild child. You know what I'm saying? Reticle settings. You can also draw verticals if you wanted for some reason to look down at a time of day. You can also draw vertical lines. There's a lot of little settings inside of there. If you guys got any questions, any of that, do let me know. These videos will go through every single setting on those. This is that very important video that I talked about, learning how to fine tune your alpha omega crosses. Please go watch this video after this. You will need to do that. I'll give you the short version because we're boot camp. Set this to a low value to like 5. Look overall and go, okay, well, it's either too chatty, too busy, and then start to move it up. Generally, the best is set to probably a 10, but in the evenings, I'm going to go to 5. And then in between there, I am looking for, it's important, I can't show this in examples here right now until we get into strategies later on, but it is very important. I won't say very important, but I like to find out, like especially in the evenings, what's the value that's turning it overnight? Because how many times have I seen a 6.7 or a 6.5 will just turn the market? It comes up into a pivot and boom, I see a 6.5. It just goes boop. After hours, I can literally almost take these, especially if we've got a structure, something as simple as it's at the top of the regulator channel, boom, 6.7, boop, back the other way. I'm grabbing a 10 bag. In the evenings, like you're trying to find those, especially because the markets get a lot slower in the evenings in the Asian sessions and into the London session overnight. So, excellent documentation over PowerPoints. Any more notes? Great work. Love it. Love the docs. Thanks for Algobox. Appreciate that. Thanks, Vinny. You are welcome, sir. How can we determine when the AO are valid? Well, they're always valid. AO is always valid. I've noticed that during fast market moves, the bars can push through one or two of them before reversing direction, even at a 20.4. Okay, so again, you got a false philosophy going on there. Please make sure you go through the training. Remember, trade nothing alone. Nothing. Not even just an AO alone. AO alone is not enough. And in market conditions where they're nuts, sure, you can have, I'm not like a 20 does not guarantee a pivot turn. Like if you want to bet against it, I mean, a 2-try rule there is gonna, you see it turn almost every single time. If it's a 20 or 21, you're going to have a hard time finding that. But sure, I mean, anything can happen in the markets. If there was something absolutely guaranteed, then, you know, that would have already lost its edge a long time ago. But as far as how you know if it's valid or not, again, what do you think a stop is for? If the stop invalidates and you have a 2-try rule, like those are our standard operating procedures for playing around with one of those, but you need to have it in combination. Like, was there a harmonic there around it? So show me a screenshot where you had a harmonic and a 20 show up. If you didn't, then okay, well, let's go reset. And remember, it's 2 things, 2 pillars, not 1. Okay, can you stand up a house on 1 pillar? Nope. Like, well, can you really do it on 2 either? You could. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I guess you could stick something in the middle. Anyhow, you know what I'm saying? 2 legs to stand on, unless you're a flamingo. And I always joke around here, no flamingos, right? No flamingos, because a flamingo can stand on 1 leg, nothing else, right? Nobody else is standing around on one leg and eat good, right? But flamingos, they do that thing where they got like one leg up and they're just super balanced and they're like grabbing fish out of the water. Anyway, okay, next. Pajama traders unite in the evenings. That's right. DD plus AO, super time, give me 40. Indeed. Yeah, we want to get that double big bag. Your strategy to trade them with a confluence. Yeah, you want to get it with a confluence. Get something else there along with it. Or, look at the stop out on those. Like it's a small stop and a 2-try rule, because yes, they work out quite often if it's above an 18. And, I still play those almost every single time. I will take the loss, right? There are certain scenarios where I'm like, okay, I'll take that loss because I know it works so often. Like I'll take that. You're going to have some losers. Like I think the most dangerous thing is to get in positions where you literally will not take losses. Like those are bad situations. Let's see. Are AOs often around fair value gaps? I don't know. I don't know, Greg. You tell me. Don't sound retarded. ICT's down the hall, down that way. All right, 3-legged dog. Actually, I think they just delivered my Uber a minute ago, so there was probably an ICT student at my door a few minutes ago. Audio box. Let's go to Flowmaster Audio Box. We're going to read all the way through this because this is one of the most important features that we have. There are literally other third-party products out there that exclusively sell something like this, and we've got it built internal to Algobox. This is often known as Squawk Box. You have heard of things called Flow Squawk. Back in the day when people were trading on the pit floors, you could hear the excitement of people yelling, screaming, flapping their hands around in the air, and you got this vibe going on. Well, you don't have that because everybody's not all together. So this is the closest thing. We're recreating the feeling of all of that excitement around areas of frantic buying and selling of the big guys. We don't care about the small guys, but we do care about the speed and size on the tape coming in, and we've got a proprietary algorithm that I think is better and superior to all the others that I have seen and heard out there. So there you go. Flowmaster Audio Box, real-time order flow analysis. Here, large player activity on the tape. Audiobox is one of the most powerful tools in the Algobox suite for real-time order flow analysis, using sound to amplify the trading experience. This audio-based indicator detects large buying and selling activity in real time, offering a decisive edge in trading by pinpointing the presence of major market players and their likely directional bias. This proprietary algorithm's Flowmaster Audiobox makes the traditional time and sales ladder obsolete, bringing the market to life with an enhanced clarity without having to look. You got enough things to look at on your chart. It's nice to have that audio feel where I can feel it. I can literally feel it in my chest, like it's coming at me. There are times when like I'm not even, maybe I'm away from my desk and all of a sudden like I kind of hear it in the background. I've got the sound turned up and I'm hearing it's going absolutely crazy. I'll kind of hop over here to my desk real quick and just look and I'm like, press the button. There is a strategy around just pure audio box, waiting for audio box insanity to occur, and those are some really cool plays. Let's reboot just for the AOs is worth it. Thank you, Vinny. You are welcome, sir. Great to hear that. You know, I tell people all the time, like you can come and buy Algobox for just one feature. There are so many good features inside of Algobox. I like to combine them all and use them and play anytime I want. And, I'm a versatile trader, versatile player. Like if you're like in Battlefield, I can play all the positions kind of thing. I'm that guy. But there are some people who are just snipers. There are some people who are just up front, up close, shotgun players. There are some people who are like, I need to lob a grenade to kind of get the biggest bang for the buck. But, gotta make sure everything's in a space. Anyway, I got all kinds of gaming analogies going on in my head when that occurs. And our price pointing, if you have been around a while in the 2-week free trial, if you join during a 2-week free trial, you're going to get the absolute best price. I have literally shown that I am giving you in your first year the price of Algobox, everything, all included, all the juice, all the goodies for the price of just one thing that they've got selling over there on, I don't know, NinjaTrader or any of the other, Muppets that are out there. They're, one tool, one fool thing is the same price as Algobox, which includes all the goodies and then some. It's crazy to not do it. But yes, for just AOs, it's worth it. For just Audiobox, it's worth it. The other audio series that are out there, I looked there, they're selling it literally for the same price as what we're doing for the lifetime of all of our stuff. Well, not lifetime, but your first year. All of it, all included. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, next, how to turn Audiobox on and off. So you add Audiobox as an indicator to any chart. I recommend doing this kind of on a mid-time frame. I usually put this on my MACV chart. And it's just a little button up here. There is a test audio button in case you want to check to make sure that it's working. You can click the test audio and it will go, it'll basically run through a series of the higher pitch clack and the lower pitch boom. And those are your two sounds. The sounds you hear are two distinct types generated by Audiobox, an advanced level algo detection system. These two audibly perceived sounds consist of a higher pitched clack and a lower pitch boom. The higher pitched sound represents the aggressiveness and entry of the market of big buyers at the level. Conversely, the lower pitched boom, you know what? Let me just play this video down here real quick for you, and let me take a quick break. I'm going to grab some water here. I just realized I finished out my water. I'm going to grab a quick water. I got 30 seconds.
Flowmaster Audiobox generates two distinct sounds, a higher-pitched clack when big buyers enter the market, and a lower-pitched boom for institutional-sized sellers. These sounds make it easy to identify market moves. Add Flowmaster Audiobox to any instrument you trade on NinjaTrader for real-time order flow analysis. Simply turn it on, wait for about 30 seconds for the data to accumulate, and you'll start hearing live market activity. You can customize the buyer and seller sounds using your own .wav files. Also, use the test audio button to ensure everything's working properly. Configure your settings for optimal use. You can adjust visuals and button placement to fit your chart preferences, enhance your trading with Flowmaster Audiobox, and make the market come alive with sound. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
Yes, and you can change that sound. So I'll give an example. The Nomads, they have a different sound for NQ, and they also like to have ES. So they've kind of got like a little, what do y'all use? A little bird sound. There's like a little bird sound, and you can replace that in the sound file folder. And there's an example on how to do that in some of our videos here, but you can play around with those if you'd like. All right. Okay, that's Audiobox. Did I miss any questions on that? Pop them there in the chat. I don't see any, so I'm going to move on. We got a lot to cover. I want to cover this whole fundamental section here tonight, and we will move into strategies tomorrow. It's going to be fun. Where are we at? We got 30 minutes. Let's do it. Flowmaster Cross, RTOFA, real-time order flow analysis. The Algobox Flowmaster Cross is a must-have for analyzing order flow. It highlights significant trading activity, providing valuable insights into market dynamics. This has changed over time. We have started to detect when our best guess at small guys entering into the positions, retail crosses. I have considered renaming these to retail crosses, but just know that there is interesting activity occurring at these locations. Our best guess at this being retail taking action at this level or location, or their stops being tapped. Okay. Now, this will apply more as we get into the strategies, but just follow with me. Just know we've got the difference between white crosses, which are Flowmaster crosses, and the other one, which was Flowmaster Alpha Omega crosses. Green, red, pink, blue, those are AOs. White, we're keeping it tight with Flowmaster crosses. So there is a setting that you can turn on horizontals. I've turned these off only for visuals into our live streams. I like to have them on. Personally, again, I don't get overwhelmed by chart noise. People are like, oh, there's so much chart going on there. Everything to me means something. If you're, I don't know, like low IQs have a real problem with a lot of stuff in their charts. Oh, so what's going on here? Yeah, it hurts their brains. I get it. ICT students are like, oh, I gotta have a clean chart. All right, bro, just make sure you deliver my Uber hot and on time or no tip. That's the tip of the day. But I like to see these personally. I would have them on, but people come into my live stream and I get trolled hard enough for the nonsense, but whatever. So turn this feature on, or you can turn it off. I have mine off because you're like, hey, I don't see these on your live streams. I have them turned off right as of this date. I have them turned off. May bring it back on, especially for DCDMs. I think these are very important. If you are a DCDM player, double cross, double move players, turn these on for yourself, because a 2-try rule, when you see that price come back through and it breaks through the lines. So if you had the double cross over here to the left and maybe it didn't work out the first time, you stopped out on a quick stop out, and then we come back through and you can use those lines for levels to go, boom, I'm returning and I'm coming straight through. I think those are helpful for you. Okay. There is another visual orientation that you can add onto these crosses. You can add a visual color. Our best guess at which button the retail pressed. Did they press buy? Did they press sell? Our best guess drawn on the chart. I think this is best on the 2s. Now I'm just talking to pro tip stuff. On the twos, I have found it very accurate in being able to play against retail on the twos. If it's red, then they probably hit the sell button. If it was green, then they probably hit the green button, and vice versa. Down on the ones, a little less reliable. Threes, I don't know. It's like a little bit of a question. But on the twos, it's almost like magic. You can almost trade against retail almost every single play. And that's only important when you're trying to read around a major level like a high of day, low of day, or the open. I feel like there's a couple others I can't think off the top of my head, but we'll carry on because we got time working here. The Flowmaster bubbles, these are the equivalents on the high time frame of the crosses. Now, you can have them both on. A lot of people like to have both on with the cross and the bubble. It's fine. I like the aesthetic of the bubbles on the higher time frames personally, but take your pick. They are exactly the same. It is the order flow event that I want. So remember, when I'm trying to get my two pillars of combinations, I don't want to have just a harmonic, which is a structure. I want an RTUFA. So if I have a harmonic PRZ where the price is currently at, and then all of a sudden I get a cross show up, that is enough for me to enter in to the position with those two. What's the color of the PRZ? If it's red, I'm looking for a short. If it is green, I'm looking for a long. My stop goes behind the cross on the other side for my stop. Settings wise, yes, you can turn on horizontals. You can also turn on and show supply color or not. On the live streams, I have also turned this off because it gets confusing to people. People are like, well, it was a green cross, so shouldn't I go long? Okay. I just got tired of answering that question too many times on the live streams because a lot of people who are coming on the live streams, they're brand new, but know that you can turn those on for yourself, and I think they're helpful. Audio calculation, yes, you can turn on audio on those. Delta Flagging Pro, there is a lot going on in this beast right here. All right. Real-time order flow, the boss. This is boss level at this spot here. A lot of stuff comes from this, all right? Algobox Flowmaster Delta Flagging Pro reveals large-scale institutional buying and selling activity by analyzing order flow data. Large delta flags can indicate large non-retail participants' order flow activity, potentially giving us more clues to market activity. Big delta. Retail traders cannot cause these repeatedly high amounts of sudden order flow. The advantage of using the Delta Flagging Pro indicator is using it as an added layer of confluence in your trading analysis. A red big delta flag, prepare to assess the next trade strategy that appears. Delta shift. A delta shift occurs when a new and significant delta appears immediately the opposite direction of the previous delta. Now, delta shifts, we're actually now labeling these. We've got settings inside. You want to turn this on. By default, if you have installed as of today's date, it will automatically turn on for you. If yours is not turned on, go and make sure you install the latest version. R3, release 3 of 10.5.5 is out now, and that is covered for you and has the visuals on screen. And it's, I don't mean down here, I'm talking about up in the verticals that we'll talk about here in just a moment. Okay, this shift may indicate a potential market reversal of strength or the overall trading strategy, suggesting it's time to assess the next potential trade setup. Remember, we are looking for, after one of these, it's get ready, and then I'm going to take the next play. These are not plays by themselves. These are the get ready. I'm about to do something, because this is saying the institutional guys just popped the trigger. They just showed themselves, and I'm ready. Get ready. We're looking to take the next play. After these, this will become more significant as we get into the strategies. As far as settings go, inside of here, it's your basic stuff. Colors, there is an audio alert. If you want one to show up when something is supersized, you can have it click in to say, you know, super heavy delta buying on the tape. There are audio cues for those. As we get into the strategies, this will make a lot more sense. Everything kind of comes from these. We'll cover the ready DDs later on. Let me just make sure we have that separate. Okay, so we recently added the color codings on these, and hopefully before we get into that strategy section tomorrow, I will hope to have this updated. We'll see if we can get that done by tomorrow or not. All right, so sorry, back to Delta Flagging Pro. Okay, let's get into the Enigma. This is my bread and butter. We are home of the Enigma. ICT has claimed that he has the Enigma. He's a liar. He wants to be me, but he can't be because there's only one Vinny Emini, and he's ICT. I can't trade. All right. The Algobox Flowmaster Enigma is a powerful proprietary algorithm that analyzes order flow data in real time. It's a cornerstone of many trader strategies, providing in-value insights into market dynamics. And it's not just order flow. I think that is what it's labeled as, because that is a primary component. Internally, this is a z-axis level thing, but we also combine others. That is enigmatic. I can't tell you about it. It's just top secret. And I think when you see them on your chart, you're just going to love it. Here we go. Flowmaster Enigma indicator. Color codes the strength of the signal. Yellow indicates a neutral enigma, while pink represents a stronger sell signal compared to red. Similarly, blue represents a stronger buy signal than green. A green Flowmaster Enigma is a potential bullish signal. Green, of course. Red, you get the deal. You guys are smart. Bigger the number, the better in general. At the same time, I've seen a 1 push the market to literally call the bottom or the top. So sometimes, like, even though I'm like, oh yeah, this will be better. Yeah, I've seen it literally. I'm like, wow, that's probably not going to. Oh, and there she goes. And she's off to the races. Knowing the power of the Enigma signal can assist in filtering signals. So up to you. Kind of do your own back test around some of that. For me, I'm all about cadence. You're going to learn about the cadence strategy as we get into those tomorrow. I prefer that over picking the number. But if you find an edge in the numbers, hey, share it with us, because I have just found that almost any enigma works at any level when it is sort of that whole location. May you make an audio alert for the white cross? There is, yes, you can, yes. Which tier of NinjaTrader do we need for Delta? Oh, that's a good question. The free version. You no longer need. So there's an old video that said, hey, back when we first originally, I mean, years ago, you needed to have the lifetime version of NinjaTrader to have their order flow pack, because we were using their order flow internals to do it. And then we built our own inside of the Flowmaster. You are welcome. So yes, free version is all you need with NinjaTrader. Make sense? And you only need level 1 data. Enigmas, 2 yellow MACVU filters, potential by 21. Okay. So you can turn the color codings on or off. In the live streams, you'll notice I have them kind of turned off. I just want to know if it's green, I'm going long. If it's red, I'm looking for short. And just stay out of the fiddle zone. Basic filtering type of stuff for me on Enigmas. These are what the Enigmas are. They are just proprietary entry locations for precision that are really awesome. Automatically plotted targets. You can turn the auto plot targeting on or off. These screenshots don't have it turned on, and these have it turned on. So in the settings here, if you are right here under show enigma target, you can adjust this on your own. If you were playing a higher time frame, for instance, and you wanted your enigma target to be something besides 20, you can change that default out of the box. I have tuned almost everything for the 1s, 2s, and 3s to get that 20 tick target. But if we're up on the even 3, we can go farther. 4 and 5s, you'll actually want to go beyond that. Probably looking at a 30 or 40 tick target off of higher time frames. So you can adjust that if you so choose. But that is this little line right here that kind of indicates to you visually whether you, sometimes we'll talk about, I'll mark when we get into the strategy section on marking targets filled, or if they need to be marked with an F11, or one that broke the back of the Enigma before it reached its target. Let's see, that's a green Enigma with a set 20 tick target. This one is the opposite, to the short side with a 20 tick target down below, and it's automatically drawn for you with that setting turned on. The MACVU filtering settings. So you can actually have these either show up or not show up at all, or you can color code them. You can literally, like, I only want to see Enigmas in the direction of the MACV Ultimate. This is extremely powerful. The whole MACV filter, if you are an undisciplined trader, you just can't get out of your way of like doing multiple things at once, and you're just like, if it's there, I got to press it, fine, then turn them off. You can literally go, only show me Enigmas in the direction of the MACVU filter. It's there. Just set the setting, MACVU filtering. The difference between filtering means it won't show it to you at all, versus color coding, it will actually give you the color. So it's either show it, don't show it, color, don't color. And those are the options available to you. They do take a little more processing power, so be careful if your PC is struggling, then you might not want to turn those on. Yeah, but less and less people have that problem now. We've done a lot to mitigate a lot of that stuff. Power number color, you can change that font. I generally want Impact 30 is a nice big juicy one. I've seen some people kind of when they set their settings for whatever reason, they've got them real small and they can't see anything. Those are adjustable as well. Your confluence levels, L1, 2, 3, and 4. This is important. Now, in the parameters, The standard is 2. If you just need to know, L2 is the standard. When in doubt, L2. Okay, and moving up or down, we'll talk about that as we get into the Enigma full auto and the Enigma bot panels, but know that you can change it in the parameters. If you've got the bot panel turned on, remember these are the buttons right here. When you're wondering what those L1, L2, L3, and L4s are, that is the confluence level strength values that you might want, and you'll see me using 2s quite often. Unless I bump up higher time frames, then I may bump that down. So if I go up a bar, I'll go down from 2 to a 1. So for instance, if I'm on AB4s, I'll probably put L1 for my confluence because I really want to see everything that's coming in on the 4s. Enigma settings. Is there something else? Definitely sound alerts. I love having a sound alert on for it. Confluence level, font color numbers, Enigma targets to 20, on bar close, and yeah, everything else is pretty standard there. All the details and lots of videos around Enigma, and you're going to see me using that a lot in the live streams. Here we go to the Enigma bot itself. Real-time order flow analysis plus execution. Auto execution there for you if you so choose. On full auto, semi-auto, cyborg trading. As if Algobox Full Master Enigma couldn't get any more impressive, Enigma bot panel appears. Configure the Enigma bot in one ripple chart per instrument, and you're a few clicks away from automated real-time order flow analysis and execution. Overcome the limitations of human reaction time with Algobox Full Master Enigma. When a valid signal appears, Enigma has already placed the trade before the average human can react in time. Enter next or enter continuous must be on. I think we changed the name of those now, so probably need to update the screenshot on these. We now call it semi-auto or full auto on the buttons, but you probably get the idea of the difference between enter next or enter continuous. Enter next has now been replaced with semi-auto. Enter continuous is been set to full auto because people were confused, so we eliminated the confusion and just said full auto, semi-auto. Must be on for Algobox Enigma to execute on the next signal. Let's see, how many ticks you target with a triple Enigma? I'll hold to the opposing signal, baby. It's not a hard set. I will hold to the opposing signal. Experiments with new coffee because I went to Smoothie King, got Hulk, add new. Momo is talking about his drinks as usual. All right, if we put Enigma on the AB9, is L1 good? I hate to say good, but would I do it? Yes. Let's see. I don't hear. Vinny said it was good and I took a loss. So that's what the bot looks like. Standard. This is not the dream panel. Back again, if you are with us in the 2-week free trial as of today's date, you're also going to get included the Enigma Platinum Edition option that has additional features like filtering. We've got super AOs, we've got moonshots, we've got super moons, we've got fiddle zone filters, and all that kind of good stuff. So if you're looking at a panel and you're like, well, my panel doesn't look like that, or my panel looks like this, and I've seen the one on Vinny's live stream, what's he doing? Well, I got the Dream panel. It's called the Dream panel, also known as the Enigma Platinum Edition. But in your first year, you're getting it included, so there's no excuse. After you use it for your first year, you're going to know if that's what you want or not. Makes sense. There's a whole upgrade path video there on our website, but you're getting in on your first year. You should be smashing it with the system and let the system pay for itself. That is generally what most people do. Next question. Let's see. Click arm long. So you can do arm long or arm short. Generally, I am picking a spot and I'll be on both, but you can select, like if you're like, okay, I just want to take the next long. I don't want to take a short because market's just been marching up and up and up. Just select arm long. You probably get the idea. Okay, it will auto fire the ATM that you have selected. That is probably important to know. So whatever ATM that you have selected over here on the right, it's going to fire that ATM. And it will tell you so in the bot panel information right here. The ATM strategy, it's saying what I'm going to run right now, what I've got registered, and I see that you've currently selected is this. If that's not populated for some reason, go click on the strategy. I don't see this issue. This is a long time ago. We saw some people like having that issue. Have not heard or seen that anymore, but just in case, just check the ATM. People have asked, well, what happens if it's selected none? So if you select none over here and you don't have one, that's okay. It will still fire it. It will do whatever quantity you have here. Now, speaking of that quantity, let's talk about what that quantity actually means. So the quantity right here is going to be how many times it presses the button. So for instance, bigger might have 2 contracts Well, just because it says quantity 1, it's not going to trade one contract. It's going to trade one of your ATMs. So it's going to click one time. If you've got 2 contracts in it, then it's going to be 2 contracts. So it's a multiplier of the ATM contract count. So quantity 1, if it's 2 contracts, then it's 2. If you set quantity 2 and the contract count is 2, then it's going to be 2 times 2, and it will literally click it twice, 2 times, tat tat, because we do things in loops so that we avoid the whole nonsense of block ordering and the algorithms coming and stop hunting us. It will loop as many times as you want it to. And so quantity 2 times 2, it'll be 4 contracts. If you set this to quantity 5 and your ATM has 2, it will go dat, 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 5 times. And 5 times 2, you'll have 10 contracts in the intro. Pretty self-explanatory on the buttons. We made the Enigma bot panel be as easy to use as possible. You can collapse it. That's what's showing right here. You can collapse it by pressing the little arrow to the left. You can move it by selecting the 3 dots at the right. That's how you can drag it around and move it anywhere on the chart that you would like. Usually, generally, we just put it up at the top left. Is where you'll see us in live streams putting that. Let's move on to the upgraded version of the Enigma bot, to the Enigma Dream panel. This is the dream right here. So let's get into that one. Enigma Dream Panel, overview of it. We've got the Dream Panel Platinum Edition. This is normally for Platinum members only. This has all kinds of cool controls and executables, but we do have a midpoint in the mid-tier there for an upgrade if you wanted to upgrade to this later on for a lifetime. But again, it's all included in your first year. If you are here doing the 2-week free trial, jumping in, you're getting the full experience, Platinum level Enigma Dream Panel included, along with your system there in your first year. Most advanced and feature-rich interface offered with Algobox, designed exclusively for Platinum members, but currently available to Gold members who want more automation in their trading and choose to upgrade. All right, basically more buttons. Makes sense? So let's go through what all those buttons mean and what they do for you. The Dream Panel delivers exceptional flexibility of automated algorithmic trading, all controlled with just a few clicks of your mouse. If you've ever done full auto trading in NinjaTrader and dealt with the strategy panel window, you will be able to appreciate the beauty of a panel like this. All right. The movable button panel overlays directly onto your NinjaTrader chart and gives you full control over signal filtering, trade execution preferences, and advanced automation features. Below is a breakdown of each feature and how to use it. Warning: for using the Dream Panel Platinum in a live environment, it's essential that you fully understand each function and setting described on this page. Misuse or misunderstanding of the features can lead to unintended trades or risk exposure. We strongly recommend that testing the panel thoroughly through NinjaTrader's market replay feature to practice in a safe, simulated environment before applying it to real-time trading. Timers, etc., etc., etc. Such a beautiful thing. Look at this beautiful thing. It's just so awesome. Let me just look at it. The Dream Panel Platinum Edition is available exclusively to Platinum members who want more automation. Offers the most comprehensive control suite of any panel we offer. Display features. The panel always displays your current ATM strategy, like we mentioned earlier, and your account name at the top. This provides instant context for your trading environment. The Enigma confluence levels 1 through 4. Mentioned earlier, these radio buttons allow you to select your desired level of Enigma signal filtering. Only one confluence level can be active at a time. A higher, e.g. level 4, means more factors must align before a signal appears, reducing signal frequency but increasing probabilities. ATM contract quantity multiplier. This numeric setting multiplies your base ATM. I'm not going to go over that any farther. We just landed that on the last one. ATM multiplier reset button. You probably know what that means. Basically set it back to 1. Arm long, arm short. I think you kind of know this one too. I'm not going to belay you with that one. Arm long, arm short, full auto, Enigma on. You'll hear me say that over and over again because I always start these up in the mornings. You'll hear me do arm long, arm short, full auto, Enigma on with the fiddle zone filter on though. This one currently in this image, fiddle zone filter is off. Well, no, I'm sorry. In my other one, I have it off, but on my main, while I am trading there, I will have that turned on for my main. And then on side to side entries, I will have just actually those 3 settings turned on. Enigma sell trade is actively managed. Okay, you know the deal. All right, semi-auto versus full auto. We mentioned that earlier. So semi-auto and full auto right here, which these are toggleable. You can only have one on at a time. You can either be semi-auto or full auto. Full auto means it will continuously keep taking one. A semi-auto means I'm going to take the next one and then I will stop. And then you would have to turn it on again afterwards for semi-auto or full auto. The Enigma button turns on Enigmas or not, because we now, in this, it's not just Enigma anymore. We also have Super AOs. Let's make sure you know this. Something inside the Dream panel that you have. The Super AO is such a beast. Super AOs. Come on, let's get some Super AO hype in the chat. Super AO, yes please. Ready DD plus the Alpha Omega in the same location. Yeah, dude, I'm gonna take. So full auto, but you need to select one. Okay, so if you got all this turned on, but one of those is not on, then it's not going to take the play. Make sense? You got to have a few of these. You got to have the right combination. Just play with it, practice with it. Hopefully you get it. If you got any questions, pop them there in the chat. Let's see. How do you set it to hold to the opposing signal for Enigma full auto? Set it with no ATM. No ATM, then it will go enter green to the long side, and then it will exit and enter red on the other side. Super AO enables or disables trading of the Super AO signal. Super AO refers to a specific sequence of AO cross. I'm ready DD. Click here for more about the Super AO. There is the Super AO. We're jumping ahead in the strategy section, but I'm going to give you a little sneak peek because it's that awesome. Super Alpha Omega should have its own thing. You could literally build an entire system just around this, and yet some reason it is completely included with Algobox. You would have to... Other systems would have like just this in their whole arsenal. Algobox is number one for a lot of reasons. Super Alpha Omega, that's what it looks like. When one of these babies lands on your chart, I'm pressing the button. All there is to it. And some people asked, hey, Vinny, can we fully automate that? Sure, why not? All right, so that is Super AO on full auto with the Dream Panel pack. Invert logic, we mentioned that earlier. Basically, long is short, short is long for that button if you have it selected. Okay. You might want to do that in the fiddle zone, as we've said before. Might be a place you might do that. There's always some reason. And so we're like, hey, can I have an option to invert? Sure, go ahead. Activates or deactivates trading of moonshot signals. This has become a question. Multiple people have had this. Even nomads at some point were like, hey, how come my Enigma didn't fire? Because you have moonshot filter turned on. It's actually, a moonshot is actually a filter. It's not like, oh, and I want to take Enigmas. If a moonshot shows up and you've got Enigmas turned on, it's going to take it regardless of whether you have moonshot turned on or not. But if you have moonshot turned on, it will not take an Enigma by itself. It will take a moonshot. A moonshot is when you have an Enigma plus a cross. So that is explained right here. Remember about the moonshot. Okay. So we'll go to Enigma Moonshot. Let's listen in.
It's a Flowmaster Enigma plus a Flowmaster Cross. How do you trade it? Red Enigma, Flowmaster Cross. Sell it. Stops above the Enigma. Simple. Algobox. Level up.
If you have the Moonshot filter turned on, it's only going to take it when there is an Enigma plus a Flowmaster Cross. Does everybody understand that? If you get it, type of 1, 2, if I need to review further, but I got to move forward. Moonshot. Super Moon, same thing. So if I have Super Moon checked, then I cannot take an Enigma by itself. So I'm going to show this in my my actual chart here. So Moonshot turned on means I have to have it with a cross. Even if I have Enigma turned on and Enigma shows up, and I've said this multiple times, but people will still inevitably come and ask me, Vinny, my thing didn't take the last Enigma, it's broken. Nah, bro, it's not broken. You didn't pay attention. And we all do it sometimes. I forget to turn on my real-time audio. I forget to turn off my real-time protection all the time too. It's so cool. All right, but if you got Moonshot turned on, I am going to blink this at you until, look, are you super annoyed yet? Are you annoyed? Are you annoyed? Are you annoyed? Is this getting through to you? If you have the Moonshot turned on, it will not take Enigma by itself. Do you understand? Type of 1 just for fun. Let's go. All right, same thing with the Super Moon. If I turn Super Moon on. Now, what if they're both on? Let's think about it. If they're both on, it will take either one. These are a filter for the Enigma itself. Now, the question comes, well, what if the Enigma is turned off? Vinny, I had Moonshot turned on and Super Moon on. It didn't take the trade. Okay, well, you got to turn this on. As we move down this pipe, it's sort of like we arranged these so that you would go arm long, arm short. Step 1, one of these needs to be selected. Then one of these needs to be selected. Then one of these needs to be selected for filtering. Everything below this is a filter of some type. Filters down below, but all 3 of these need to be selected to be able to execute anything. Okay, it's like nuclear codes, right? You gotta, don't fuck it up. What do you say? FAQ, don't FAQ it up. FAQ, frequently asked questions, don't fack it up. FAQ, no swear jar necessary. Don't fack it up. FAQ. Frequently asked questions. Hey, Vinny, I got a question. Am I supposed to turn it on or am I supposed to turn it off? I just helped you, yes? MACVU. So there's a filter for the MACVU on or MACVU off. This will literally go only take it if the MACVU is in my favor. So the MACVU filter on means if the MACVU is green, I'm only taking longs. So even if you have arm long or short up top, but you have MACVU filter on, guess what? It will only take plays in the direction of the MACVU. That is another cool feature, in my opinion. Play with that. Run that a lot. Do walk forward tests and market replay. I think you're going to like what you see. I think. Just go play with it yourself. No stop, no target, and just these. Oh, look what you're seeing. It's pretty darn cool. I'm just saying. Check it out. Neutral on, neutral off. So this is, MACVU, you know about green and red, but sometimes we always forget. It's like the whole 00 in blackjack. Like there's a 00 on the board. All right. Yes. So same thing on the MACV Ultimate. If the MACV Ultimate is currently at neutral, do you want to take it or do you not? If you have them on, then it will take it. If you have them off, it will not take them. One of those inverted filters, just think about it. Basically, turned on means I will take neutrals. Turned off, I will not take neutrals. That's the way I've got it programmed. Don't argue about it. Yes, you could have read it both ways. I know. Half full, half empty. Tomato. You're just going to have to do it the way that I did it. E-power. This toggle activates the Enigma power filter. We mentioned that earlier. Like basically, if you only want to take Enigmas greater than X power, like if I don't want to take the ones for some reason, I can turn the Enigma power on and it's whatever this number is. So if I want to take only Enigma powers 10, I just basically hit these little toggle buttons right here. So now on a 9, it's got to be 9 or above in this scenario. If I'm like, I only want to take the 20s. Okay, set it to 20 or 19. So it takes 19 or above. Makes sense? Fiddle zone filter, you probably know what that means. Basically, fiddle zone filter on means it's filtering those and it will not take anything inside the filter. Algobar size. This, you have to go into the settings to change this one. You can't change this from the parameter area window. It will simply, this is informational, the Algobar size for the Algobar 6s. You can change that inside the parameters. Right click, go to indicators, go into the parameters, and you can change that from the 6 to something else. We went over this in videos either 1 and 2 when we talked about the various sizings on the MACV and each of the instruments. ES, you want a smaller one. NASDAQ, you want a larger one. NASDAQ should be up on the 9s, ES down on the 6s, etc. for the MACV if you want to filter it here. I like to have mine just nice and narrow. I just don't want to take anything very close, so I generally will have this set to Algobar 6s for all of them, even for NQ. You know, you like it, great. You don't, it's okay. Change it however you want. There is some flexibility for you. Fiddle zone filter, we just mentioned that. Flatten-all, again, one of those places where flatten-all comes in handy. I mentioned this on Full Auto Friday last week, where if I've got 4 or 5 instruments with trades open because I've got full auto turned on, I'm on 6 instruments and I see 3 or 4, I can literally just press one button, flatten all, boom, they'll close all the positions. Flatten all does what we said from before. This is basically a universal thing inside of the idea. Close all positions on the account. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean it will close all the others. So if you've got others laid out there, you might want to go into the account section on positions and go into positions in your control panel and you right click here and you select flatten everything. That is different. Flatten everything will literally, if you're like, I've got 5 different trader funding. I got my Apex account, my TPT, I've got my Boolenex, I've got my MMF and my crazy MFer, and just press flatten everything and it will flatten all positions. If you're using our trade copier, etc., etc. We do have a trade copier. You'll trade up to 20 accounts. Native. Better than all the others. Just trust me, bro. Minimize the window. I think we know what that's about. Yeah, you can collapse it by pressing the little arrow. Same thing from the other one. Drag window. We mentioned that earlier with the triple dots. Dream panel settings. There is the Algobar size one I was talking about. It's right there in the parameters. You'll have to hit that drop down. It only allows you to go so big and so small because I don't want to just give complete freedom for somebody to FAQ it up. Frequently asked questions it up. You know what I'm saying? And reduces our FAQs. The info panel. It probably gives you information, don't you think? All right, just some little handy-dandy details there if you want to see your unrealized P&L on a chart for whatever reason. If you want to look at what our current target value should be based on ATR, people always ask us all the time, hey, what about, you ever take into account ATR? Sure, it's right there. Put the info panel on and go, well, here's what I'm currently looking at in current market environments and conditions. It's NQ. 42 ticks is what I would be looking to get at that moment in time based on your ATR, blah, 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 blah. Move on to the next one. Speedometer and psychology module. This could take up its own deal. This is designed to help you to stay out of the markets or know what the current market speed is, and we're putting some objectivity to it. So here we go. Objectively quantifying market speed and quote feel. The Algobox speedometer tracks market pace in real time using Algobars. It measures bars per minute, BPM, to give you a clear, objective measurement of market speed. How the speedometer can help. Knowing when not to trade can be often more important than knowing when to trade. Anonymous, but something that I love to say on the regular as well. Algobox speedometer. So that speed, that's great. We had that, and then we added more goodies to it. Now, filtering. VOT, we mentioned this a lot earlier, so I'm not going to go into a lot of details. You know the deal. Background, overlay, text. You can see it on the screen. I do want to hit in on the parameters, though, that we didn't get into earlier. Let's go inside the parameters themselves to talk about how you can adjust the speed. If you don't like my speed settings, you can adjust them and change them to yours. Let's see. That's the background color. Uh-oh, I wonder if this is an old image. Eddie, put it down on a list. We'll need an updated image with the new parameters. This one doesn't have the new text. So what I have added with the overlay text, we now have parameterized settings in here. I'm going to show you them on a real chart. So let's pull over our chart here. I'm going to set this always on top so I don't mess it up here. Always on top. There we go. Okay. I'm going to right click, go to indicators. And I'm going to the speedometer settings. And okay, right here, psych values, high value, great value, low value. I have these set to default. The way that I would do it. If you want to change these, if you're like, you know what, great speed, no, I like it I actually like it when it's 40, between 40 and 50. 50 is too high. I don't like that. Okay, cool. Change it right here. If you think the low value should be lower than that, do it. If it's under 30 BPM for me, I'm like, I don't want to trade it, right? So basically, these are controlling what that text is, or if they're going to block out your chart or not based on the psych values right here. These are the speedometer settings that I like. I like to cruise at 50 BPM. If it's between 50 and 111, that's awesome. I love it. I'm liking it. 111 or above. Okay, now we're getting too fast. Over 111, in my opinion. Okay. Background images. Yes, you can actually put an image on the background if you like. Background colors. All that. Did I miss anything? No, I think we're good on that. So there we go. So in real time, that's what it looks like. Background, overlay. Go ahead and give me that text too. Too slow right now. After hours, not moving at all. Overlay says don't touch it. Background, red. Cool. I can look away. Keeps me out of Medusa affecting. And I can turn those off anytime right there. Little buttons, or you can go into the parameters and set them. So take your pick on how you'd like to do those. I put them there for your convenience, so you can flip those around anytime you want, because sometimes you want them, sometimes you don't. I get it. I want some flexibility. If you watch me in my live streams, you'll see me kind of make those adjustments on the fly, especially when I'm trying to give examples as well. Speedy chart does exactly what you probably think it does. It speeds up your chart. To break up some of the monotony here, I'm going to press a little quick short video here for you, and it will talk about the speedometer settings as well. I'm sorry, speedy chart settings. Let's play that one right now.
Order fill.
Algobox Speedy Chart improves chart refresh rates for a smoother, more responsive trading experience. Notice how the speedy chart refreshes faster, delivering real-time updates compared to the lag of regular charts. This feature keeps you better aligned with the market's pace, ensuring your decisions are always timely. Speedy Chart offers flexible settings to match your trading style. Adjust the speedometer threshold, fine-tune the refresh and delay rates, or choose your update mode, on price change, on bar close, or on each tick. For most users, the default settings provide an excellent balance of performance and efficiency. Explore Speedy Chart settings to make the most of your Algobox experience. See you in the next video.
Something important about this, so Speedy Chart doesn't only, well, later versions. Our most recent version, I've got it so that it will handle you even if the market gets super fast. Sometimes you actually want to slow down your charts. So let's talk about the defaults. This is an important deep dive on NinjaTrader. Okay, NinjaTrader refresh rates, and this is referring to their charts. Okay, they have a default of 250 milliseconds. Don't get me started on how slow that is, but you know, somebody needs to talk to them about it. But anyhow, 250 milliseconds by default. Now they used to, in their old NinjaTrader 7, you could actually go in there and they would allow you to change this, and they've removed that setting, which is a bummer. So I wrote some code for it to refresh it more often than the 250. Now they have a reason for this, because at the same time, this can also cause recalcs, like recalculating on the chart. And so this can be a performance hog. So they're doing this to kind of have a nice happy balance, but you know how it is. Sometimes, you know, you need a little extra control. So here we go with what does Algobox Speedy Chart do for you. We can reduce and increase it. It does both. So why would I want to go worse than that? Well, have you ever seen when the markets are going absolutely nuts and 250 millisecond refresh rates still ain't good enough? Well, what if when the markets are going absolutely nuts, I just told it like, hey, just only refresh every second instead? Because remember, every 250 milliseconds, that's 4 times a second. Yes? So if I set this to 1000, then I'm only going to do once a second. I could do 2000. Like if you're on a machine, I'm like, look, if the market's going super duper fast, wouldn't it be cool if the market went super duper fast? Well, how could I do that? Well, I can combine the power of my speedometer. If my speedometer reading is X, whatever I want it to be over, if the speedometer is greater than, I don't know, let's say that's like 300 BPM or 200 even. I think over 200, the market's getting a little bit too nuts. I might want to slow this down because I'm not going to be able to react that fast anyhow. So if I don't get every signal that shows up within there, I'm okay with that. Does everybody follow and make sense of what I'm saying here? Speedy, but I also might want to slow it down. I could call this like speedy slowy indicator, because it will also slow it down for you if you want it to. Let's go into the settings and I'll talk to you about why. But know that there's a threshold, and those are the parameter settings. So let's say that it's 200 BPM. Then, so it's an if statement. So if 200 BPM, then what do I want my refresh rate to be? I can set it up to 1000 or 1.5. I want only 1.5 seconds to do a calculation. 1500. Does that make sense? So I coded that because everybody's complaining, well, the market got really fast and all of a sudden my computer, because like I set this down really low. I actually want this way faster than 250 milliseconds. I'll like set this for me. I got like 25 milliseconds. I want it to be a tenth of that. I want it to do 10 times more than that. I want it to refresh 40 times a second. I like to see the jitters on my chart when the markets are slower. Now you get over 200 BPM, I don't care. I don't want to see it then. So that was what I wanted to do. So that's how I coded it. Make sense? Let's go into those parameter settings and I'll show you what that does. All right. So you have called the delay rate. So I'm going to delay the refresh rate, speedometer threshold right there, the refresh rate that I want it to be at, and then the delay rate after the threshold. Don't get lost on it. Ask a question if you don't know what I'm saying. So right now it's set to over 150 BPM. Then I want to go to 500, which is double 250. So you want to do these sets of multiples of 250. You don't have to, but I'm just, in general, you're probably going to be better off if you do it multiples of 250 milliseconds, because NinjaTrader's default is what? Everybody type 250 milliseconds in the chat, or lock it into your brain. 250 milliseconds is NinjaTrader's default refresh rate. You want it to go faster than that? It's like golf. You want a lower score, all right? So I want lower. My default refresh rate at 100 here, well, that's literally less than half, so I am getting faster at 100. But if you notice me on my live streams, yes, I cut this down. I don't do this for the default. On yours, I think when you've got it installed, I got it set to 100 because, I mean, I don't expect everybody has a 14900 PC. So I got it set up to like 100, so it's, you know, 1.5 slower-ish. Okay, anyhow. Speed delay rate. 500. I'm going to go double that side, but you might want to go to 1,000 or 1.5. You need to play with this based on your own parameters on your PC and feeling out how that's feeling for you. Make sense? Any questions? Speedy chart is also slowy chart. This is the short answer there. You good? Support resistance zones. Almost want to just skip this because everybody kind of gets it. You want to see some support and resistance zones automatically drawn for you, but making sure that there's volumetric information at those as well. We're going to draw them on the chart there for you. They basically look like this, and we'll talk about strategies where we might want to use them. There's parameters for these. You can do more. By the default, there are 3. You can have more if you want, and that's all you need to know about the auto-drawn support and resistance zones. Volume levels. There you go. Ultimate OBOS. This is important. Those triangles coming in on the higher time frames by default out of the box. Higher time frame, overbought, oversold indicator with divergence. We care about divergence coming in on those. And it is also the MACV. I'm sorry, it is the ultimate OBOS. So ultimate overbought, oversold oscillator with divergence. Intended to be used on larger sized charts like the Tide, Wave, and MACV. In general. You love you some triangles. I know Missile loves those. 50 milliseconds is a great ping. Yeah, so maybe even 50. And I think I've got mine currently set to 30, actually, as I recall, on my live streams right now. The ultimate OBOS highlights possible divergences with a purple triangle pointing towards the potential direction change. So what is a divergence? This is when the movement in price diverges from the oscillator. Now, you're brand new to trading. Just hang tight. Just know that when two things are not aligned, I'm going to draw a purple arrow on your chart. And I would recommend going through one of these videos. Actually, this one's pretty short. Let's run through this here real quick. And that way you're probably tired of hearing me because we're over our 2 hours.
We sell 30,000 cars a year, and there's no doubt
a lot of cars, bro.
Help us do that.
Immediately, we saw a much.
That's great. Okay, 1 minute.
The Algobox Ultimate OBOS Divergence is a higher time frame indicator designed for larger charts like the Tide, Wave, and MACV. It highlights potential market reversals with purple triangles pointing to the expected direction. These divergence signals help identify when price may reverse, making it a valuable directional filter. Remember, this is not an entry strategy. It's a tool for confirmation as part of the Algobox order of operations. Customize the ultimate OBOS to match your needs. Sound alerts, add custom audio, or adjust Algo voice settings. Visuals, change triangle size, color, or hide the oscillator panel for more chart space. That's the ultimate OBOS divergence indicator, a powerful tool to sharpen your trade.
All right, I forgot. I thought he was going to show it. I'm going to draw it real fast. This is, so when you have price, doing some up moves, your oscillator in general, its whole job is to kind of keep up with price. I just did those in opposite colors there. Let's see. So those are kind of going the same. This one's going the same. And then this one, for whatever reason, we kind of did this and we did this. Okay, so a divergence would be something like this. So when this peaks, this one valleyed or didn't make as high of a move. There's a whole thing about the distance between levels. And again, I'm going to do a terrible job of this right now because it's not that important in my opinion. But if I hold shift, and so the peaks here were to the upward side, and here all of a sudden if we went downward, this is generally what you will see drawn when this is being taught. And because I didn't have an example ready here tonight, I apologize. But basically, these two going in opposite directions, this is the definition of divergence. And rather than having to look down here and keep your eyeballs down here, looking at your oscillator and looking at your price, blah, 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 I just put a triangle on your chart for you to know that, hey, something just happened right there. Okay, we got a divergence that just fired in this area. And let's see if I can find an example in here. Okay, so these two peaks right here, you see these two peaks right here? So this went down. So it's detecting that. It's like, hey, I got a down slant right here, and here I've got kind of a sideways or upwards. Generally, this is going to be more dramatic like this. This is when they're more powerful. So, you know, of course, this ended up coming back up because that's a flat, right? This one was flat, but it still detected it and was like, hey, that is a very strong divergence from these two peaks. This thing went down here. So that is a divergence right there on your oscillator type of scenario. But that's on the MACV. What we're actually looking for is on this oscillator down here, where it's even more dramatic right here at this moment. You can see the down move on that. Those two were across. And this is the ultimate oscillator down here. Overbought, oversold conditions end up coming into these areas. So if you're talking about overbought, it's going to be above that little green line. Oversold is going to be down below in the red. Okay, that will apply more when we get into strategies. We're almost there. Volume profiler. So some people live on this, okay? It's built into Algobox. Some people are like, oh, I'm just a volume profile trader. I just have to shut up. All right, you might want to combine that with some other things, in my opinion. Example of the volume profiler. Below is an example. Read that down here and read it while you're watching that. Let's see. Tracks trading volume at different price levels, helping you identify key support and resistance zones. Volume at price distribution. Below is an example of the volume profiler in action, illustrating how volume is distributed across various price levels. Example of caves and nodes. That's the important part, in my opinion. I am generally only concerned with caves. You will see me address caves on the regular. I feel like everything else is just noise. So there's a cave right there. It is an area where there's basically that little volume profile area has formed a cave. So I kind of picture if we're on the side of a mountain and we've got this big area there, there's a cave. Like it's like, oh, I can kind of get up underneath here and hide inside the cave. And I'm really looking for it when it just goes to almost zero are the best types of caves right there. And sometimes you will see me go, okay, I want to see if I got a cave back behind me on a move. And sure enough, price comes back up. Oftentimes we'll come and tap that cave. And so I will use that as additional confluence for a trade entry on a cave. So now I've just told you a volume profile strategy too. There you go. Caves and nodes. The node is a volume profiler. In the volume profiler, it represents the area with the highest trading volume, often serving as a potential zone for targets. Yes, so while I may enter in on a cave, and then I might come back and use that as a target area after I have entered in on the cave touch. As it comes back in, touches my cave, and I might use that for a target, though generally I've got better strategies for entries and exits, but this is just another one of those pieces of confluence that's already built in for you with Algobox. All right, volume profiler settings. We've got color changes, the usual routines, not a lot to change inside of there. Transparency, bar spacing, and colors. But volume profiler is volume profiler. How I use it, you'll learn as we get into the execution. We're almost there. Chart notes. Chart notes gives you a space up there at the left. If you want to put some chart notes up there to, if you are an, I don't want to say an undisciplined trader, but maybe you're in the beginning and you want to put some notes. We've got some sections there for you. You can put them whatever colors you want. You can put them whatever corners you want. We've got some options for you that will stick it there on your chart and keep it there. So if you need some notes on the chart, like you're like, I will not do this or that, I will do this and that, you can have all that there. The chart notes is just an indicator for you to use to put your chart notes in there. You can choose the color of your text, the font size, and all of that. It's literally just more of a note-taking item that you can put there on your charts for keeping things that you just absolutely want to know right there on your charts. Did I miss any questions? We're over time tonight. Thanks for hanging out with me. Tomorrow is day 5. You are not going to want to miss day 5. It is going to be insanely great. We get to hit the strategies. We get to hit all of the cool parts of the Algobox system. When you are done with this, don't forget, you're going to do the Algobox Academy questions, quizzes, and tests to make sure you know. Come hang out with me tomorrow morning in the live stream. I'll be there 9 a.m. and you better be there too. Thanks for hanging out. For me, Pippi, Robbie, Lunchbot, Mod Squad, Curtis G, and Eddie B. I am sending out that big H-Town. If you're not having fun doing it, you're doing it wrong. See ya! Don't go yet. Art team. Show them how it's done.
The old adage where, the individual investor doesn't have a chance because the institutional investor has better technology, better information, and, more money and better opportunity. I don't think it's real anymore. I think the edge is on the individual investor because they're small, they're nimble, they can trade, they can use that, they have both front-end technology.
Don't waste your time. Leave the technical analysis to us. You just play the game.
Welcome aboard, everyone.
What exactly is Algobox, and why do our traders absolutely love it?
Michael Othrew.
Systems online. You have entered our virtual trading floor. Verifying your clearance and access levels. Access granted. You may proceed at your own risk. Welcome to Vinny's live chat room. I will now walk you through setup. Please be patient, keep your eyes on the monitor, and pay close attention to our visual walkthrough and audio guide software when the warning bell rings. Warning, please listen closely.